right, welcome in, welcome in. So I have been working hard today. I actually took today off so I can spend time focusing on YouTube, making sure that YouTube doesn't get things broken up. I think I got that figured out. I think I was able to get that taken care of, so YouTube hopefully won't be a problem anymore. Had some people on earlier while I was looking at that. So hopefully that won't be an issue anymore, but we will wait and see. So while we are here, let's start tapping that screen, sharing the live. Bad Religion is already knocking it out of the court, and I greatly appreciate it. So let's start tapping that screen. Let's get this shared out. And I just want to know today, Christians, can you prove the divinity of Christ? That's what I want to know today. Can we prove the divinity of Christ? I don't think they will be able to. I want to know if we have any good arguments. I'm just curious over here on YouTube. Over on YouTube, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me over on YouTube. Genuinely curious. Want to make sure YouTube is getting just as much love as TikTok does. All right, sounds good. Thank you, Gigi. I didn't see any chats popping up, so I was kind of worried there for a moment. And we do have Video Ninja up again. Worked out. Hope I worked out some kinks. So if you are a Christian, hop in that box. The URL is right here, tinyurl.com/cyber-guest. Give that a link. We'd love to chat with you over here on YouTube. And Monarch, I am doing fantastic. Miss Michelle, it's been a day today. It's been a day, trial and error, watching a lot of tutorials on trying to get YouTube figured out. So, all right, thank you, Decal Den. I appreciate it. So hopefully we can get some debates. I had a few people in last night that unfortunately, due to some issues, we had to cut those short. Although I'll be right back. I do want to show something. There's something that I've been super ready to get. As most of you know, I grew up practicing Orthodox Judaism. I deconstructed when I was 16. And so all of my grandparents' literature, all their books and stuff, obviously I didn't get any of those. They went to my family members that are still religious. So I've been slowly rebuilding my collection. So I'll be right back. I want to grab something to show with you all real quick. So, how you doing, Marduk? So, I am slowly going to be starting to read, go through the Torah. So, we've got this here. What makes this so amazing is, so I'm able to read it. For those who don't know, I do speak Hebrew. So, I'm able to read it in Hebrew, as well as get Rashi's words on things. So I'm super excited to start reading through this. Going to be reading through the Torah, going through some other stuff. And what's really cool about it, as well, is it's got other things as far as what the Levitical priests would wear, going on with things within the temple and different rites and rituals. Bringing Hanji on up.
I want one.
So if you want one, so this is the Stones edition. So it's a Stones edition. Rocky kind of side-eyed it when I brought it home. I'll shoot you a link for it. I'll shoot you a link. You can buy it in different sizes. This is an actual size, and it's hardcover. So this is about you can get it different places. But it's about $50.
I want that one.
Sounds good. I'm also going to be getting another copy of this. That's going to be with the prophets and the writings, and then I'm going to end up getting a Tanakh, and then I'm going to slowly try to collect the Talmud.
Oh, I think I know why I like that one. Hold up the cover. Hold it up. Hold it up. Does that not give you, I don't know, 1990s Mummy Book of the Dead vibes? You know what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And real quick, over on YouTube, can you hear Hanji? Over on YouTube, let me know if you can hear Hanji as well. So I did do some working on things. So hopefully Hanji, you'll still be able to hear the guests. But what I ended up needing to do is set up a virtual audio cable, and hopefully
They cannot
with that,
hear me on TikTok, but they can hear me on YouTube, I guess.
Oh, they can't hear you on TikTok.
TikTok, no. Puzzle piece already? You just started.
Right. Let me take a look.
Also, you're blurry.
Yeah, I'll get that fixed here in just a minute.
Should I drop, completely close out the app and come back?
I don't think it's you, unfortunately.
Aw, he cares. Oh, that is cute, Miss Michelle. Win auntie for that. Listen, all I'm going to say is they can't hear me. I was going to do an announcement, but I guess I'll wait. I mean, put ones in the chat if you're watching on YouTube right now and can hear me.
This is just the thing that's like frustrating. It's like grr.
Tiny. That was perfect timing. I'm sorry.
Let's see. Add a source. Capture card. Because TikTok is open over here. Oh, you know what? Let me try this. We'll hit TikTok. I'll hit properties. Sometimes. Hanji, try talking again. Are you there?
Joe Mama. I was typing a chat. I said Joe Mama.
All right, can you hear Hanji now?
I am a menace.
Can you still not hear Hanji? No Hanji still? All right, let's see
damn
which
it.
one of these. Let's see which one of these TikTok live studios we have to select here to get
By the
Hanji
power
heard.
of Zeus, my voice will be heard.
Is that one better?
I don't know, Mr. Blurry.
Can you guys hear Hanji now? Still no. Because sometimes.
I mean, I'm not even talking right now. I hope that
that's
shows up.
that's beautiful, Hanji. Everybody loves the Hanji burp.
I didn't force it. That's like coconut water. That should be cleaning me out.
Yeah, they're still not able to hear you. Let me check over on Live Studio. We'll add a source here on Live Studio. We'll add is it a window capture for this?
For the people who are requesting in the request box right now, you guys have to wait. We are facing some technical difficulties because TikTok wants to be in their fifis and no one can hear people on the TikTok stream.
Yeah, that's the issue. That's what I'm trying to see here.
Smack my ass like a drum. Oh, do I need to put my headphones in? Is that it? Maybe?
You can try, but you're not on Video Ninja.
Well then.
Get one problem fixed and another one is like...
I got my headphones in. Eddie,
oh, I
already
know
told
I'm
him that.
blurry. Game capture, camera, display, window, image link, cast, capture card. Let's see what the camera source here is.
No. Oh.
Because they could hear you yesterday, and then I set up an audio camera or a virtual cable.
Uh-huh.
Let's check here. Try talking now. Can you guys hear
anyone
Hanji
hear
now?
that?
Then this here.
It probably heard me.
Oh, they can hear you now? They can hear you now?
It's kind of ironic how when I use a sound rather than my actual voice.
As long as they can hear you now, we're good.
I'm in a drink pipe. Oh no!
I mean, there's one thing I can try, and this I can fix pretty easy if we end up
I already told you we cannot use coconut oil. It's not gonna end well.
What? Yes, we can. All right, can you still hear Hanji? Hanji, can you say the ABCs real quick?
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, phi.
Do you guys hear Hanji right now?
Tau, upsilon, phi, kappa, psi, omega.
Okay. But wait, Eddie, did you hear her? Okay, they can hear you. They can hear you. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're not touching anymore. Let me fix this camera now. All right. Christians, hop in the box. We want to debate why can you prove the divinity of Christ? I would love to hear your argument, your strongest argument. I want to know what messianic prophecy did he fulfill? I don't think you're going to name a single one. And the ones that you probably think are messianic prophecies are not prophecies. So hop on up. Let's talk about it. Come on in. Blurred cyber. and we did get that fixed. And hopefully over on YouTube they can still hear me.
That's good.
And so yeah, we'll go here. We do have a link in Video Ninja. It is tinyurl.com/cyber-guest. If you do want to come on up, give that a click. Would love to chat with you. I also think I got the echo problems I had going on last night. That was my bad. That was on my end. I think I got that taken care of as well.
Speaking of Video Ninja, did you hear me at all yesterday when I joined?
Yes, I could hear you, but I was dealing with the other guest.
I was like, he probably heard me singing to him. I was trying to serenade him, and he mutes me.
So, yeah, I'm also in the process because I was going to start Streamlabs today. And I was trying to help Jaren with it as well because Jaren's trying to do the same thing as far as getting on YouTube
Good.
and stuff. And Jaren already has a Streamlabs subscription. Hey, look who I found. You want to know who I found that was just hiding over here and I thought he was lost?
Spanky. Spanky!
Thought he was lost. But you have to get a stream key from TikTok, and I'm in an agency, so I think I can get one. So I messaged my agency to see if I can get one.
Why is that so complicated? Why do they make things complicated? I don't understand.
Now the moose hat. I wish I could find that damn moose hat. I feel bad because Joe bought it, and I feel bad.
It was a beautiful moose hat.
But Christians, I just want to know, can you name a messianic prophecy Jesus fulfilled? Jesus fulfilled not a one, not a single one. Partial fulfillments aren't even fulfillments. Plenty of people were born in Bethlehem, and you're not going to say that they were the Messiah. Plenty of people that were descendants of David were born in Bethlehem, but you're not going to say they're the Messiah. Plenty of people rode a donkey through Jerusalem, through the gates of Jerusalem, that were of the line of David. And you're not going to say they were the Mashiach. You're not going to say that. When it comes to all of these prophecies, not a one of them was fulfilled by Jesus. Would love to hear about it. Would love you guys to talk about it. Lord Mango, imagine trying to win against God. Laughy face. Lord Mango, hop in the box. There is a link right above your head. It's in the yellow. Well, right above my head. It's in the yellow. Give that a click. Come on over to Video Ninja. We could talk. YouTube will, or TikTok and YouTube will be able to hear you. I would love to have a chat with you. He did fulfill a single one, correct, Chaos Engine. He did fulfill one in Deuteronomy 18. And we'll get to that here in just a moment. We're going to go ahead and bring Luke on over from Video Ninja, and we'll get right into this. Are you there, Luke? Luke, you there?
Luke is here. Can you hear me?
Luke, you are live and on the air. And it looks like
good to be on the air. Can you see me? Oh, or hear me? Or both?
I cannot hear you talking right now.
It's funny. You can't hear him. I can.
Oh, you can hear him talking?
So can chat.
Okay. Let me. Oh, no, what I probably need to do.
We'll get the hang of this, I'm sure.
I will.
Get it, cannot. So I guess it's here and there. Some people can, some people cannot.
Ah, damn it. Let's we'll go here. Let's try. Man, we were testing this earlier today as well.
Fucking technology.
All right. Go ahead, Luke. Can you go ahead and say something?
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Okay, I figured out what it was. I can...
You got it, my dude. Hey, good, man. Good to be here. How you doing?
Yep, and I'm going to be watching over on YouTube. I want to make sure that YouTube can hear. So YouTube, as soon as you cannot hear it, you have an echo now. Does all of YouTube have an echo now? Ah, gosh. YouTube has an echo now. Let me...
I think I gotta turn off the mic whenever you talk so it doesn't create a feedback loop. Let me see if that works.
Let's see. Let me try. Let's try this and see if we get rid of the YouTube echo. All right, go ahead now, Luke.
Still here, my friend.
All right. Can you guys still hear guest? Can you say
Loud and
the
clear.
ABCs real? Okay, so you can hear guest. Okay, is the echoing done? That fixed it? Okay, we got it fixed. All right, and how old are you?
30 years old, man.
All
30 years old.
right. And I appreciate your patience. This is something that I've been trying to work with for a hot minute. And are you a Christian?
Yeah. Didn't start out that way, but yes, I'm a Christian.
All right, and can you name a messianic prophecy that Jesus fulfilled?
That Jesus fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Just one. His voice does rule right now. We're not gonna lie. Like, everybody, let's all give Luke some W's. Like, praise Luke. I'm just waiting for him to talk right now, though. Give me a messianic prophecy.
Is my voice like cutting out?
No, you're good. I just
it's
couldn't
more
hear
like
what you were
it's
saying.
booming. It's
Oh, my
loud.
apologies. Let me make sure that the mic at least is close to my mouth.
Wait, you can
I'd
hear
say
me?
the most obvious one in regards to Christianity that proves Christ's divinity, or at least there's some being a supernatural influence in his life, is Isaiah's prophecy about the suffering servant. And then
Yeah,
you
we
read
can.
about that, and you see that visually occurring in the historical person of Jesus Christ in the recordings of his life, not only through Josephus, who is not a Jew living in around that time.
Josephus
but
was
also,
a Jew. Josephus was a Jew.
Yeah. Oh, my apologies. Yes, he was. But also, not all Jews were considered Christians at the time. I think that's also a very important distinction for Josephus, but that is but aside.
Well, real quick, while we're talking about the suffering servant, do you know what Deutero Isaiah is about? Have you read Deutero Isaiah?
No, please continue. I'd love to listen.
Yeah, so Deutero Isaiah starts in about verse 40, and it's about the Jewish people coming out of exile, them leaving Babylon. And so, in order to understand Isaiah 53 or Deutero Isaiah, you need to read like all of Deutero Isaiah. And so, when it comes to the servant, there are about 8 different times in which Isaiah, or the person, it was actually written like 100, 200 years after first Isaiah, so it's probably a different author. It probably wasn't Isaiah who actually wrote it. Probably somebody from Isaiah's school of thought who wrote it. But when we look at like Isaiah 41:8, it says, "But you, Israel, my servant Jacob, whom I have chosen," and we'll read where the singular and the plural are both being used. You are my, this is in Isaiah 43:10, "You are my witnesses, says the Lord, and my servant, whom I have chosen." We'll have in Isaiah 44:1, "But hear now, O Jacob, my servant, Israel, whom I have chosen." We're going to read in 44:21, "Remember these things, O Jacob and Israel, for you are my servant." We'll read in 45:4, "For the sake of my servant Jacob and Israel, my chosen, I call you by your name." And Isaiah 48:20, "Go out from Babylon, free from Chaldea, declare with a shout of joy, proclaim it, send it forth to the end of the earth. The Lord has redeemed his servant Jacob." And then we got two more here. Isaiah 49:3, "And he said to me, you are my servant Israel, in whom I will be glorified." And we have Isaiah 49:7, "Thus says the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel, his Holy One, the one deeply despised, abhorrent by the nations, the slave of rulers. Kings shall see and stand up, princes, and they shall prostrate themselves, because the Lord who is faithful, the Holy One of Israel, who has chosen you." So the common thing with all of these verses is that it's mentioning that the suffering servant or the servant is Israel or Jacob. That is the servant.
Thanks for detailing that out. And I absolutely love how you expounded on like the rabbinic tradition and the Jewish centeredness of Isaiah. And that is very much important. I think definitely with us both being in the fields where we're in, whereas as a person who looks at the Old Testament in light of it leading towards the messianic promise, that even in some of those statements, we see a lack of fulfillment within the context of the time that that was written. And then you look at the period of time today, a continuation of that, which has been unsatisfied, as written in Isaiah, if we were to ground that in the complete Jewish sense. And the incredibleness, I think, that proves the existence of God is the manifestation in all levels of existence: nature, breath, air, consciousness, literature, art, comedy. And I think this is one of the things where you look at, it just depends on the lens. But you're absolutely right. That does address
I don't
Israel.
think so, though. I don't think so. I think when we read Isaiah, all of Deutero-Isaiah, it makes it clear who the suffering servant is. It makes it clear that it is Israel or Jacob. And the only times that we ever hear in the scriptures Israel or Jacob being referred to is one, when we're talking about the person Jacob who became Israel. Two is when we are talking about the people group, either the Israelites or the Jewish people. Those are Israel. Or when we're talking about the landmass, Israel, right? Those are the three times that the Bible refers to Israel. We don't have it referred to for any other purpose outside of those three contexts. So when we read all of this, what we're reading is that it's just the servant is Jacob. It is Israel. It is the Jewish people coming out of bondage. And if you remember, the Jewish people were only supposed to be in bondage for a certain amount of time, but because of the sins of the Jewish people, because of what they had done, God caused them to pay double, right? And so then we go into Isaiah 52. Isaiah 52 goes on, and this is where we kind of get this view of the Jewish people actually stepping out of Babylon. They're now leaving Babylon. God has told them, cast down your chains, cast down the yoke. I am going to bear my arm and lead you out. And so we get this in Isaiah 52, verse 1. And let me get this. You're not going to be able to see this, but TikTok and YouTube will. So if you're able to see on YouTube, you'll be able to see this over there. And let me get this opened up here real quick. And so what you're going to read here is going to be, awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion, put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city, for the uncircumcised and the unclean shall enter you no more. Shake yourself from the dust, rise up, O captive Jerusalem, loose the bonds from your neck, O captive daughter Zion. For thus says the Lord, and now we're going to get a brief history of how this came to be, how this bondage kind of came to be. You were sold for nothing, and you shall be redeemed without money, meaning that when we got captured, because I'm ethnically Jewish, when we got captured, people would capture us, they'd see us not in Babylon, and they would capture us, and we were viewed so worthless that when they took us into Babylon to give us over into captivity there, they literally weren't paid for us. They just did it because if they were giving us to the Babylonians, then it was a better chance that Nebuchadnezzar wasn't going to attack them. You were sold for nothing, and you shall be redeemed without money. For thus says the Lord God, long ago my people went down into Egypt to reside there as aliens. The Assyrians too has oppressed them without cause. Now therefore, what am I doing here, says the Lord, seeing that my people are taken away without cause? Their rulers howl, say the Lord, and continually all day long my name is despised. Therefore my people shall know my name on that day. They shall know that it is I who speaks. It is I. And then he gives a little thing that he's saying here, specifically to the Israelites, to the Jewish people. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messengers who announce peace, bring good news, who announce salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns. And so we'll get this whole thing, but the actual prophecy, Isaiah 53, really starts in verse 10. The Lord has bared his holy arm before the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God. Depart, depart, go out from there. Now this there is Babylon. Leave Babylon. Touch no unclean thing. Go out from the midst of it. Purify yourselves who carry the vessels of the Lord, for you shall not go out in haste. You shall not go out in flight, for the Lord your God will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your rear guard. Now, right here, we're going to have a narrative shift. This narrative shift is now God is no longer talking to the people of Israel. He's now talking to the kings, the people who put the Jewish people in exile. He's now focusing his attention on them. See my servant, and again, we just went over 8+ verses in which God makes it clear that the servant is Israel and Jacob, the Jewish people. My servant shall prosper. He shall be exalted and lifted up and shall be very high. Just as there were many who were astonished at him, so marred was his appearance beyond human semblance, his form beyond that of mortals, so he startled many nations. Kings shall shut their mouths because of him, for that which had not been told them they shall see, and that which they had not heard they shall contemplate. This is going to institute another narrative shift. So when you come out of slavery, and what God is saying here is usually when people are enslaved, they become assimilated. They lose their culture. You can't tell who one slave is from another. They lose their culture. But you're well aware that as we read the story of the Babylonian captivity, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refusing to bow to the God, and they were thrown in a furnace as a result of it, but they maintained their Jewish identity. When we hear about all these Jewish kids refusing to eat the non-kosher food, these are all signs of the Jewish people maintaining our identity as we are leaving. And the kings are astonished at it. They didn't expect it. But it says, and that which they had not heard they shall contemplate. This is where we'll jump into Isaiah 53. And before we jump into Isaiah 53, I just want to give you a chance to respond to some of the stuff we've just talked about. Are you there? Oh, Luke.
I don't know why it literally cut out, but I'm back.
Okay. Did you hear what I was saying though? I didn't realize
Yeah,
that
I
it
did.
cut out.
I got up to the part of Isaiah 53. You hit on verse 10, and then after that point, I got pretty like about 2 minutes into it, and then it cut out, and I literally got back in the room like 10 seconds after it cut out.
Okay, no worries. So what I'm saying is that the whole verse, the whole chapter of Isaiah 52 is essentially talking about the resilience of the Jewish people. We have the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refusing to bow to Nebuchadnezzar's idol, and they get thrown in a furnace for it, right? But they're maintaining their Jewish identity. We have the stories of the Jewish people who refuse to eat the non-kosher food, right? We have all these stories of the exile that are the Jews maintaining our identity. And as we are leaving, the people, the kings who put us there, the kings who helped put us there, are astonished at it because we maintained our identity. And so at the end of let me get that closed down real quick. At the end of Isaiah 52, it ends with these kings being startled, and it says, and they contemplated. And that's going to lead us into Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53 is told from the perspective of these kings. And I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of talk about that before we delved into Isaiah 53.
Oh no, that I see what you're saying. No, absolutely right. And this is where I'm really thankful for your perspective on that. And that is something that is very much known to me. I think the beauty of the Jewish culture is the like the maintenance of its hegemony, culturally wise, religiously wise, and how throughout history God's preservation his hand over the Israeli people, over Israel as a nation, over the line of Abraham, is just in itself an existence of Yahweh and how he's manifesting, because even the things they've been through, incredible.
Mhm.
We've heard of many of people who have just been wiped out of the face of the earth, and you can study them in museums. But we have a people who come from a specific lineage of people who have been preserved, and every single word of that is absolutely true. And we can just look at the nation that is there today. Another proof of prophecy, I believe, because this was promised that they would become a nation once again, and God always.
Well, that promise of prophecy, for the messianic prophecy was going to be under like the Davidic line. I don't think what's going on in Israel right now is a fulfillment of any prophecy, because that was supposed to happen under the Mashiach. It was supposed to happen under a Davidic king. And that's not what happened. But when we roll into Isaiah 53, though, so we have a couple issues we can go on here with Isaiah 53. Going into Isaiah 53, I can hit right away the verses. And are you still there, Luke?
Because I've been here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got kind of quiet there, and I'm still kind of like bugging out about like this thing. I finally got it working right. And real quick, over on YouTube, you're still able to hear Luke, correct? TikTok, you're still able to hear Luke. I hope you guys can. But when we get into Isaiah 53, we can tackle a few things. We can tackle some mistranslations. We can tackle things that aren't about Jesus, like things that that just aren't about Jesus, that speak contrary to what Jesus did, or we can talk about things that just blatantly where Jesus actually like wasn't blameless, and where the scripture outright lies about what Jesus did.
No, absolutely. Please, I'd love to hear you address that.
Yeah, so what we'll address first real quick is going to be things that aren't about Jesus. Things that where I'm not saying like Jesus lied, but whoever tries to claim that this is a messianic prophecy, and there's a reason why like none of the church fathers mention this. There's a reason why none of the gospels really mention this. It's just not mentioned. It's because there's things in it that just don't fit Jesus. So the first one is going to be in verse 7. Isaiah 53:7 states that he was oppressed, yet he was afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. Like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, like a sheep that is before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. But the issue with that is the servant is supposed to be submissive and silent in the face of suffering. However, Jesus was neither submissive nor silent, right? He knew that there was a plot against him to arrest him and execute him. We start hearing about this. This is where he's telling Peter, you're going to deny me. I'm going to be denied. Those of you who have purses and stuff, sell them, go buy swords, right? I need you to go buy swords. So he instructs his disciples to buy swords. We see this in Luke 22:36. And the swords were used against the people who arrested him. Now, with that said, Jesus did stop and heal the man, but that sword strike alone could have been enough to get Jesus known as the instigator, right? The leader of these men. And people hear Jesus telling them to go buy swords, and they're buying swords and they're used. The next one is going to be, and that the sword being used is in Luke 22:49-50. He also spoke at his trial, rebuking his accusers, oftentimes sarcastically. The way the scriptures kind of word it sounds like he's replying sarcastically. And we see this in John 18:22-23 and 34-37, Luke 22:67 through chapter 23, verse 3, Matthew 26:64, and Mark 14:62. So he wasn't submissive or silent. He rebuked, he talked, he kind of, I'm not going to say backsass. I don't think backsass is the right word, but he gave attitude. He was sarcastic in his responses. So do you have any responses with verse 7 before we move on?
Sorry, I'm unmuting. I notice whenever I keep this thing off of mute and like I'm bouncing around in my Bible app, like that's what caused the disconnection last time. I'm trying my best
that
not
might
to
do it,
keep that
yeah.
from happening. Yeah, I think it's the phone overloading. Just a second. You were addressing Isaiah verse 7. I'm literally on my phone.
Yep. If it helps, I can bring it up on my screen if that helps. But I just need to know if you want to talk about that, because then after this we're going to move on to verse 9.
Baby steps, baby steps.
Hey, we're getting there, Hanji. And everybody right now, while we are waiting, we're at 15K. I appreciate that so much. On YouTube, we have 93 people on YouTube watching. We have 48 people over here. Let me renew that gift goal as well.
Lacking.
And you can hear him, correct, Hanji?
I can. I
Yeah,
thought for
about
a second
time.
you could hear me.
We ain't giving Hanji time to read books anymore.
Listen, I was really hoping that my sound would just cut out with that guest last night. Oh, his ego.
All right. So, Luke, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So, yeah, with
Jeez.
verse 7 in Isaiah 53, verse 7, is there anything you wanted to discuss then? We can definitely talk about it.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm speaking when I have the verse up in front of me, and then my voice doesn't come through unless I have the screen up on my phone.
Yeah,
so it blocks me from seeing the verse.
Yeah, phones do
Hold
this
on.
weird thing with turning off microphones. What verse do you want to read? I can bring it up.
Yeah, please. Can you touch on verse 7? Because I heard you talk about Luke 22:26, where he's entering rhetoric about buying the sword.
Yeah. So verse 7 says, he was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. Like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, like a sheep that is before its shearers in silent, so he did not open his mouth. And so the whole purpose of me bringing up those verses are to show that he wasn't silent. Those when we're talking about the verses in Luke specifically, those are verses where he is, and I can actually get those brought up real quick. So where we're going to see is in Luke 22:36.
Also, host has a new gift goal of 300 ice cream cones. If you would be so kind as to help him hit his live goal, so we can go ahead and keep this on the algorithm. Thank you.
So what we're going to see is here in verse 31. You should be able. It should be popping up on your screen shortly. You'll see where it will say, "Simon, Simon, listen. Satan has demanded." And we're getting a prediction of Peter's denial. So Jesus is predicting the denial. And then here in 35, right, we get, he said to them, "When I sent you out without a purse, bag, or sandals, did you lack anything?" They said, "No, not a thing." He said to them, "But now the one who has a purse must take it, and likewise a bag, and the one who has no sword must sell his cloak and buy one. For I tell you, this scripture must be fulfilled in me." And he was counted among the lawless. And indeed, what is written about me is being fulfilled. And they said, "Look, Lord, here are 2 swords." He replied, "It is enough." So they had swords, and he's telling them, if we don't have swords, go buy some. But the important thing here is he mentions, and he was counted among the lawless. Well, the only thing that would make him lawless in regards to buying swords was if those swords were going to be used. And they were. Peter used the sword to cut a man's ear off. And so that was the part to fulfill, that he may be counted among the lawless. So Jesus wanted swords present so they could be used. It is true he healed a man, but he still wanted the sword to be used, which is why he needed one present.
No, absolutely. So thank you for addressing the purse and the sword thing. And I think it's one of the complicated things about Jesus and listening to him teach, because there's definitely, you're right, absolutely sarcasm that strikes at the core of really what's going on in the heart of that person. And for Peter, being his protective nature really coming out, I think is a show that Jesus intimately knew Peter with walking, eating, breathing with him, and essentially knew where his heart was at. And I think that was more of an expression when I read that of like, look, I've provided you comfort. Those verses before you read, have I not provided you a comfort? Have I not taken care of you? Why are you back in this mode of operation where Peter can do everything? Peter can prevent the inevitable. And you absolutely alluded to Jesus knowing he was going to die. And me being in situations where
Are you there?
What was the last thing you heard? My phone went dark, and I think that cuts out the audio too.
It does. Yeah, last thing I heard was he knew there was a plot against him. And
Thank you.
There are times when, and then that's when it cut out.
Hey man, thank you for your kindness in this quote unquote debate. I just think it's a wonderful thing that you have. It's like a gift. So thank you for that. Continuing on.
You haven't said or done anything for me to turn this into a blood sport yet, so
yeah, it's respect. I'm really here to learn and also here to kind of share. So it's like, like exactly like you said, it's more like 2 humans talking. And in what you said about like Jesus, like, dude, I thought I was going to die. There's been situations where I thought I was going to die, and I entered fight, flight, freeze. And in those situations, I absolutely was afraid. Knowing, like Jesus knowing what was going to happen is, to me, and working through that, I think is the ultimate thing that proves the verse as prophecy when I look at that behavior. not
Well,
the sarcasm of Peter's behavior and his humanness, and him saying, "Look, I've provided for you money, so go ahead, sell everything that you actually need. Like, you need your cloak at night to sleep because you're in a desert, but you're gonna sell that to get a sword. So go ahead." Like,
I don't think it was a case where he knew Peter was going to do it. I think he's telling them, like, hey, go buy swords. You don't have swords now. Well, they weren't supposed to have swords. Then he finds out they had 2 swords. But he's like, go buy a sword, because through these swords, I need to be known as being numbered among the lawless. Right? But carrying swords wasn't illegal. You could carry swords. It wasn't illegal. The Jewish people didn't really have an abundance of swords. It wasn't what they were known for at the time. But you could carry them, and it was fine. But it was only when the swords are used to attack somebody. That is what would be the lawless
I think
act.
exactly what you said. It was only the zealots at that time, really, that like really had the majority of the weapons and were using it with the intent on killing the Roman controlling empire at that time. You're absolutely right.
Not yet. We haven't hit the Jewish-Roman wars yet, so we're not quite there yet to the Jewish-Roman wars yet. Those don't happen for a few more decades. That's not to say there were some issues. Josephus writes about some issues with the Jews. As a matter of fact, Pilate was removed from his government in Judea because of how harshly he did treat the Jews. Even the emperor was like, damn, that's harsh. And for the emperor to remove you. But I think it's fair to say, though, that as we read these passages, that Jesus just didn't fulfill verse 7. He wasn't silent. He knew there was an arrest, and he ordered his disciples to do something so that he could fulfill a prophecy. And I would say that if you're trying to self-fulfill a prophecy, well, that's not fulfilling prophecy. That's like me reading something. I could go read a story of something about like some American prophecy. Let's say there was an American prophecy that was made, and I can read that and go, oh, if I knock off this checklist, then I'm the Messiah. And so I just don't see how Jesus fulfilled this. But I think the next one is also going to be verse 3. Verse 3, and I'll go ahead and read that for you real quick. Verse 3 says, "He was despised and rejected by others, a man of suffering and acquainted with infirmity, and as one from whom others hid their faces, he was despised, and we held him of no account." And the only time that this story like makes sense is in his last days, right?
Byron?
The trial. Yep.
Reset your live goal. AK just hit it.
I appreciate that, AK. Let me get this live goal. But I just don't see that whenever we read about Jesus. He has crowds of people surrounding him. He's surrounded by people. They are trying to reach out and just touch his cloak if they can. He's famous even in Samaria, and the Samaritans and the Jews were enemies. And even in Samaria, he's well known there. A woman comes to him and says, "Hey, I know who you are. My daughter has demons. Can you cast them out?" So even amongst his enemies, the enemies of the Jews at the time, they're kind of frenemies. He was known there as well. And so I don't see where he was despised or rejected, except by like the Pharisees. The Pharisees didn't like him, but the Jewish people as a whole, according to the Gospels, didn't have an issue with him. And when it mentions a man of suffering, when we hear something of a man of suffering, this would lead me to believe that this is a man who is like his whole life is suffering, right? People look at him and they're pitying him because they feel bad. And we just don't get that about Jesus. We don't get that. And it says he was acquainted with infirmary, and as one who hid their face. When it mentions like hiding their face with infirmity, that's recommending like people would hide their faces if they had like leprosy, if they had some kind of disease that, because they didn't have germ theory, they didn't understand things, so they thought that when you were sick you needed to cover your face so that you wouldn't get others sick. And especially with leprosy, you didn't want to be seen with leprosy. That was like almost an unalivement sentence. And Jesus just wasn't this. We don't see where Jesus is fitting the acquainted with infirmity, and as one from whom others hide their faces, he was despised, we held of no account. This just doesn't fit Jesus. Unless we're just talking about the Pharisees and Sadducees alone. But not all Jews were Sadducees and Pharisees.
Hey, checking in. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to make sure I heard everything. So in regards to Jesus's not being portrayed as someone who not only didn't submit, but also wasn't someone who was necessarily afflicted throughout his life, as the literature is inscribing, is what you're saying. So, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a human. Most of the time, I usually am. But the way
I'm a god, but I appreciate your humbleness. I'm kidding.
At least you know thyself. So, no, what you're saying essentially is that the way you read the literature is, look, this isn't like, this is talking about his entire wholesome of life, not a snippet of life. And when you look at the life of Jesus Christ, this is really only, the shoe only fits in this little snippet, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And it necessarily what I would pay attention to is, didn't it happen? It doesn't take away the fact that it did happen. In an entire life, I mean, let's just for a moment in La La Land, not real land, La La Land, pretend that it is true. I don't know what it would like to be a God experiencing everything, seeing everything, like the good you're doing, but really the bad that's inside of your heart as a human being with those special eyes and not experiencing specifically.
Well, what we're doing, though, is we're talking about this being specifically a messianic prophecy. That's what we're talking about. Is this, in fact, a messianic prophecy? And so right now we're just going to go through some of the things with Jesus. And then here in just a minute, we're going to talk about how this probably more likely is just talking about the Jewish people coming out of Babylon.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. We are talking about prophecy, but prophecy is more than literature on papyrus. It is life itself, breathing out and existing in front of you and turning into history. And necessarily what essentially you're addressed is, yes, the suffering of Christ did exist, and that's all. It's all it says. In the literature itself that you read, it doesn't talk about a period of time. That's reading into it, which is human understanding. If you strip that, if you look just what it says it does happen.
Well, we need to read into it, though, because that's what the important part is, right? Is when it talks about he was despised and rejected from others, and that's not a period, it's a semicolon there, a man of suffering. Whenever we hear like the term a man of suffering, this is like somebody who has like lifelong suffering, right? Or maybe in their entirety of like their adulthood, they've been suffering, whether they did something and now they're suffering an extended punishment, whether it's social punishment from the people because of what they did. Maybe they're now enslaved and they're a person of suffering, right? But when we hear the term a man of suffering, that term is never used for a brief time period. It's usually like you look at somebody and you know that they have been through some crap for years because it wears on them. And so I just don't see how verse 3, when we're having, he was despised and rejected by others, a man of suffering and acquainted with infirmity, and as one from whom others hid their faces, this is all leading up to somebody who's probably despised and rejected by others, probably because he is has some kind of, like, he's viewed as diseased, like leprosy or something like that. He's just viewed as less than, and so the people are turning their faces on him. I just don't see how this fits Jesus, because that Jesus wasn't viewed as less than. People loved him. He had 5,000 or over 5,000, because that's just the men. He had over 5,000 people meet him on a mountainside to hear him talk for hours. I mean, this man drew crowds.
And you're absolutely right. And those same 5,000 leaving when he wouldn't give them bread or recreate a miracle. And I can't imagine pouring my heart out, like on a hill in the 3rd century BC, providing for a people that I had no means of, and clearly portraying the glories of God with a sign that everyone does not dispute. No one disputes the miracles of Jesus Christ. But all those 5,000 people experiencing that, and then verses later, him asking his apostle, well, are you going to leave me too, like these people? And I think we kind of see the shallowness of the belief because the miracles drew them in, and you see that love.
Oh, you cut out again.
There we go. What was the last thing you heard? And I'll make sure to just touch on it.
Oh, seeing him pouring out miracles, and then they just kind of turn their back on him.
Yeah, and you see that various time in scriptures where they're drawn to the benefits of Jesus, and then, but really underneath all that, Jesus seeing through it continually. I can imagine doing something for someone that I know hates me.
I don't know, the pushback
doing
that I
it
would
anyway.
Well, the pushback that I would give on that, though, is like, sure, there are probably people that did that. I don't think it was people in masses, though. I don't think the scriptures ever point to it being people in masses. In fact, what we have is whenever he goes to a new area that he hasn't even been before, the people already know who he is, you know, and they come to him and they're like, hey, miracle, we need a miracle. So they knew he could perform miracles, they trusted that he could perform miracles, and so I still just don't buy that that he was this man of suffering. I just don't buy that. It doesn't fit the life that he lived, the stories that we tell, that no matter where he went, he was surrounded by people. And again, the way Isaiah 53 is reading is that he's a man of suffering, because people are steering clear of him. It's like he's diseased, right? That's how Isaiah 53 verse 3 is worded, right? He was despised and rejected by others, a man of suffering and acquainted with infirmity, and as one from whom others hid their faces, he was despised, and we held him of no account. Like, this just doesn't fit Jesus.
As one, I think that specific line, as one, is kind of using the modern equivalent of like as. It like someone. So the way these people turned away from him with their hearts is like you are seeing a leper. And it's just so difficult, you know, because it's pretty gruesome, but you turn away.
There's no evidence that this happened, though. Like there's not. The only people that we have evidence that like turned against him were like the Pharisees, but the Pharisees were never with him. Right? The Pharisees were challenging him, but we don't have any evidence of these people being against him. I think that's just something. And
I think Judas. I would like to actually help your point. I want to help your point. I think Judas also walked away from him, and lots of people walked away from him. I mean, when he asked the guy to give up his whole entire family fortune, homie walked away.
well, that was a guy, but this is a guy coming to him and asking him a question, right? A guy saying, "Look, I've done all these things." And then Jesus saying, "Well, you've done all these things. You're living a righteous life. Go sell everything," right? And yeah, the guy said he couldn't do that because that was the one thing he wouldn't do. But I think when we're talking about, you know, Judas and Peter, these are cases where Jesus told Judas, like, well, and didn't, like, you know, pointed, it was like, hey, one of you here, Judas, is going to betray me, and then Peter, another one of you, is going to deny me and deny me all night long because you guys are asshats. But those are three. But those are three people, though, right? And I would say, like in the case of Judas, Jesus, if Jesus was the Messiah and knew that this was going to be happening all along, I don't think Jesus really like took account of Judas, right? If I know somebody's going to betray me, in the case of Judas, I'm not going to put stock into that. He's there to serve a purpose, right? Judas needed to be there to betray Christ. But I just don't see this But one thing that I want to get to as well real quick, because I do got to move on to some other guests, so I kind of want to move on to one more verse. Is going to be verse 5, and it says, the Christian reading of this is, he was wounded for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities, upon him was the punishment that made us whole, and by his bruises we are healed. Now, the issue with this reading is this one has some clear mistranslations when you actually go and compare it to the actual Hebrew. In the actual Hebrew, the way it should read is going to be, the word for should be from, the Hebrew for is the prefix lamed, which kind of is like equivalent to the letter L, while from is the prefix mem. The prefix in question is mem. If you go look at Hebrew writing, you'll notice that there's a mem in there. Which means from. And so the servant is not wounded for the nation's transgression. He is wounded from or because of their transgressions. The use of for in the Christian rendition lends itself to the reading of vicarious atonement, while reading it as from connotates a simple casual relationship. The servant Israel, the Jewish people, is wounded because of what the other nations had done to them by putting them into bondage, not for the sake of atoning for sins. And so where I'm getting at with this is when we read Isaiah 53, especially when we read throughout all of Deutero-Isaiah, where the suffering servant is Israel, is the Jewish people, and as they are coming out, and I'll get Isaiah 53, we'll hit up these verses real quick. As they are coming out of Babylon, he was despised and rejected by others, a man of suffering and acquainted with infirmity. And as one from whom others hid their faces, he was despised, and we held him of no account. The Jewish people were viewed so meaningless at the time that people would just turn us in, again, like I mentioned before, without payment. There was no payment for turning us in, right? And likewise, if you've studied like the history of the Jewish people, this is exactly what people do to Jewish people. This is Jewish history. This is like Jewish History 101, where the Jewish people, no matter where we go, people look at us as if we're diseased, we're sick, right? If you ever take a look at like every conspiracy theory, at the root of every conspiracy theory is the Jewish people. When we go down into verse 7, he was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. Like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, like a sheep that is before its shearers in silence, so he did not open his mouth. When we read these stories about the Jewish people during the Babylonian exile, these great stories, they're not opening their mouth. They are told to pay homage to the gods, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego just stand there, not kneeling, until they're taken to the furnace, and still they say nothing. When we hear during the Babylonian exile all these great Jewish stories, they are facing their punishment for not bowing down to Babylon in silence, and that is their stand of protest. And so then when we see in verse 12, I saw it popping up in chat just a little bit. Verse 12, therefore I will allot him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he poured out himself to death and was numbered with the transgressors, yet he bore the sins of many and made intercessions for the transgressors. When we read into verse 12, it's just saying that therefore I will allot him a portion with the great, and he shall be divided the spoil with the strong, meaning that we're getting our land back, right? We're gonna have to go get it back, but we're gonna get it back. It's gonna be spit. And then when it says he poured out himself to death and was numbered with the transgressors, yet he bore the sins of many. We suffered because of the sins of many other peoples. We sinned because of it. and made intercession for the transgressors. And when we made the intercession, intervening on behalf of, we didn't lash out at these people. We didn't go back and attack Babylon afterwards. It turned out that Assyria took care of that for us. We didn't have to. But we didn't go back after them. Once we were out, we were done, we were free, we were just minding our own business, and then Assyria wiped them out. But hey, I do appreciate you coming up. I do appreciate the respect you've had. I'm going to go ahead and move on. But give me a subscription on YouTube. I'd greatly appreciate it.
Hey, you have a blessed day, man. Good talking to you. Thank you for all the information and wonderful work you're doing, all right?
Yep, thank you. You too. Have a good day.
Bye.
Let's give some W's for Luke. Luke was super respectful. I greatly appreciated that.
Win, because he didn't give me a headache.
Oh, where's what's-her-name from last night? I want what's-her-name to come back. But Isaiah 53...
Just tell me that you hate me. Just say that. It's the easier that way, yeah?
But anyways, Christians, hop in the box, even those over there on YouTube, tinyurl.com/cyber-guest. I would love to chat with you, love to have a talk with you. Also, we are looking for some more roses for the gifts. I am looking for some more subscriptions. I am at 76. I'm trying to hopefully get to 100. I would love to get to 100 subscriptions. Also, over there on YouTube, I would love to reach more subscribers. And real quick, over there on YouTube, is the stream a lot better? Are you able to hear him the entire time? Oh, look at that. Precept Mars.
Because yes.
Precept Mars just followed.
He's always, yeah.
Oh, and I know I don't know him. You think he likes you? So, Tenebris, I know you're over there on YouTube. I don't know you. I know you're Jewish though. But look what I got. I'm gonna start reading again. I got Rashi in this too. I'm gonna be reading some Rashi. And everybody's gonna be like, who the fuck is Rashi? He's like one of the most important sages when it comes to the Talmud.
If you ain't fucking Jewish, take your Gentile ass home.
Take your Gentile ass home. Take your Goyim ass home.
I'm sorry, I had to. It was right there.
All right, we're going to bring up just another guy.
Just another guy. Can we have your age for TikTok TOS, please?
I'm Zach. I'm 30.
Okay. And are you a believer in the Abrahamic faith?
Yes.
Are you a Christian?
So,
Well, she covered it with that.
Well,
you'd be surprised.
Muslims are part of the Abrahamic religions, and as is Judaism.
Oh, yeah. I forget that sometimes.
Yep, no
So
problem.
can you
So yeah, I
prove-
guess Christian. I've only read the first two of the trilogy.
Huh? Okay, can you prove the divinity of Jesus?
The divinity of Jesus? What's divinity?
Can you prove that he's God? That he fulfilled the messianic prophecy? That he's the savior of the world? That he's the Mashiach?
God.
Yeah.
I could prove that he's God. By saying that God is existence across time.
Oh, well, that's a horrible argument to make. Do you believe God created time?
I believe God is time and existence.
so God can't be time because you can't be a creator of something and in it as well. That's not how that works.
Why do you think he's a creator of something?
You don't think he created the universe?
Or is the creation?
Wait, what?
Right? Like Alpha and Omega, beginning and end.
That's his names, yeah.
Yeah, so beginning and end is like time.
Well, that's what the book says. I can give you a syllogism how he didn't create time, though. Would you like to hear that syllogism?
I don't know what a syllogism is.
Yeah, so my argument is going to be that God did not... Well, I'm just going to say God's not God is ultimately what it comes down to. But what it's going to be is that God did not create time. That's going to be that's my statement. And my argument to get there is a syllogism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 premises, right? Now, you can argue with the premises, but you can't argue with the argument itself, right? You can't argue with thing. So premise 1 is going to be: do you believe that all creation entails a change of a change of states of reality?
What's a change of state of reality?
Meaning there was no creation and then there was creation.
I think that creation exists, and that
can you show me anything
we
that's
can't
ever
know
been created
if there was a beginning or not?
Well, do you not trust what the book says? Like we'll go read it.
Well, I mean, the book starts in the beginning.
Yeah, and it says God created in the beginning, did he not?
Well, after in the beginning, it says God created.
Yeah, did God create the beginning?
Well, no, the beginning was before God.
Oh, the beginning was before God.
In the beginning, God created.
Yeah, it's talking about in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, right? God created in the beginning. Was that creation?
Well, no.
A change of states of reality?
Did God create the beginning?
I don't know. You tell me. Did God create the beginning?
Are we seriously playing
I don't think
semantics right
God
now?
created the beginning.
You don't think God created the
In
beginning?
the beginning, God created.
Can you what is the beginning? Can you give me the definition of beginning? How are you using the word beginning?
No, there's no way to know the beginning.
What do you mean there's no, you don't have a definition for what the word beginning means?
Yeah, it's like the first thing.
Yeah, it's the first thing. So the first thing God did was create, right? So my question for you again is going to be...
Yeah, the first thing God did was create, but the beginning was before God.
Well, no, the first thing God did was create. That's what I'm saying. In the beginning,
well, yeah,
God created. The first thing God did was created.
Yes, the first thing
that's
God
all.
did
That's
was
all
created.
Genesis is saying. It's all Genesis is saying is the first thing God did was create the heaven and the earth. First thing He did, right? So my question for you then is, going back to premise 1, does all creation entail a change of states of reality? That's a yes or no.
Does the first thing that God did entail a change
did
of state
it change
of reality?
Yeah, did it change the state of reality?
I think that reality must, well, for reality to exist, there had to have been a change of state, yes.
Okay, so all creation entails a change of states of reality. Now, a change of states is the progression from one state to another state, correct?
I would assume so.
Okay, and a progression of states is time, correct?
Yeah, I haven't heard it said that way, but yeah.
Yeah, so if progression of states is time, then that means that God can't create unless time already existed.
So then there was no before time.
Well, no, there couldn't have been a meaningful change because, again, a change of states of reality requires a change, which is the progression of changes of states from one state to another, which is time. So God could like exist. He could exist, but he can't do nothing because mental processes, the thought to do creation is a change of states within one's mind. Right, so it goes deeper than like a physical creation. There's change of states within minds as well.
Yeah, so in terms of the totality of creation,
God couldn't create anything because
there
time
would
had
have
to
had
exist
to have
first.
been an existence to create in, or to create of. For there to be
Oh, you don't want to use that argument. You're about to crush your whole argument for why there's no God. You're about to crush your whole argument why there's no God.
Well, my argument was for God.
Well, yeah, but you're about to destroy. If you're going to say that there had to have been a space for creation to take place in, well, then that means time also likewise already pre-existed, right? So if time already pre-existed, there's no need for a God because it turns out that time space are intertwined, and then through a naturalistic point of view, things just would have happened, and we would just have what we have now. We don't need a God.
Well, yeah, but the definition of the existence is God.
That's not true. Prove it.
The Revelation 22:13.
Oh, I don't care what scriptures say.
Okay, well then,
if you're going to quote, if you're just going to say
for there to be an existence, there has to be an existence.
Yes, and if there's an existence, that means time already exists, and time space are intertwined, which means time space has always existed, which means that this universe has just always occurred. The universe was never created, and thus we don't need God.
Yeah, so there's no Big Bang.
No, there is a Big Bang. A Big Bang
just
isn't held
permanent existence.
No, a Big Bang isn't held
in that. The Big Bang is extrapolated from like rewinding time.
Yeah, well, no, they check the red. Do you know how they draw? Do you know how they draw to like the Big Bang? Do you know how they get to that? Do you know the science behind it?
Yeah, they do like the Hubble, like they do it the same way they did absolute zero.
Well, what they do is they take a look at the redshift, and we can measure the redshift. And by looking at the redshift, they can use physics and math, and they can guesstimate how long ago the Big Bang was. But did you realize that
they guesstimate?
Well, they don't guesstimate, right? They're able to use complex maths to get this down.
Yeah,
pretty
they definitely guesstimate. There
if you want hosts to respond, I would like to hear host response without you talking over him.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so the Big Bang isn't just guesstimations. They use physics. They're able to take a look at stuff that's measurable that we know is demonstrably to be accurate. Now, am I going to say it's like 100% accurate? No, that's a stupid claim to make. But it's accurate. However, are you familiar with the DESI study?
Yeah, the dark energy
spectroscope instrument. Yeah, do you know
come
what
up with some sort of idea for why it's expanding?
No, that's not what the DESI does. The DESI study has shown that there's been a change in the redshift, which means that the accelerating of the universe is starting to decelerate, which means that, and that's due to gravity, which means that probably within the next 100 billion years or so, depending on how future study reports come out, we should have one out here within the next few weeks, depending on what these studies result, the new model will probably be a series of big bangs, big crunches, and big bounces. These have always happened. They've always been going on. The universe just always existed forever.
I hold a separate theory to that. Yeah, I do like that the universe has existed always forever. That makes
Yep.
sense to me. I
Yep.
don't like
Bible
the
quotes the
idea
Bible
that
and
it's
denies
expanding.
science. Yep. But my question for you is, in real quick, for Dusty, so it's not my syllogism, it's actually from Ian, but the syllogism goes, and this is just for somebody in chat. Syllogism goes is, premise one is that all creation entails a change of states. A change of states of reality. That's premise one. Premise two, a change of states is the progression from one state to another. And premise three, progressions from one state to another is time. So,
to remove the idea of an expanding universe and substitute it for the limits of electromagnetic perception ruins premise two.
Wait, say that again?
To substitute an expanding universe by a limited electromagnetic perception substitutes premise 2 or refutes premise 2.
How so? I don't think you know what premise 2 is talking about,
because
but how so?
If time is progressing in states, that's assuming that the universe is expanding, as compared to
this has nothing to hold on. This has nothing to do with the Big Bang.
It was premise 2 was, if there is a change of state, then that means that there is time.
No. So I'll say, hold on. I'll say it again. Premise 1, you might want to write this down. Premise 1 is all creation entails a change of states of reality, right? That change of state of reality, right? A change of states is the progression of one state of reality to another state of reality, which means that if I go from no creation, there is nothing, to something, that is a change from a state of nothing in reality. So the state of reality is nothing, to something as another state of reality. And it's a progression of a change from one state to another. And that progression of states is time. No, God can't create, because time had to have already existed. That's the point.
Well, what you just described was God created, was nothing and then something, right?
No. That's an example. That's just an example, right? Going from nothing to something. It could be anything. It could be, I'm going to create a cup. There's no cup here, and then abracadabra, there's a cup, right? So we went from a state of reality of no cup to abracadabra, state of reality, there is a cup. And that is the progression from one state of nothing to a state of something. So that's a progression of states.
So God created.
No, God can't create. God requires
it's the exact same argument, though.
No, because changes of states also take place within a mind. And so if you go to create a thought, that still, because a thought is still a change of reality within one's mind, that itself requires time. So God could
So
exist.
We can't change your mind because you have a premise that exactly mirrors the biblical text.
No, I have a premise that says that God can't create. God could exist floating out there in the ether doing absolutely nothing, but he can't create, because to create requires a progression of states, which you agree to.
But with God's existence, then that means that, like, first there was no God, no nothing, then there was God.
Oh, I'm perfectly okay saying God's always existed. I'm just not saying he's able to do anything, because that requires a change of states within his mind. So he could float out there in the ether doing absolutely nothing.
I can't convince you of anything, because there's no way to change your mind, because your mind is already set on the exact same idea.
You just have to give me a good argument that defeats. You just have to defeat my premise. Defeat the premise. Give me a defeater.
Okay, well, the Big Bang is BS that's extrapolated.
This has nothing to do with the Big Bang. So hold on, I don't know why you keep trying to take this to the Big Bang. This has nothing to do with the Big Bang at all. The Big Bang is not part of this syllogism at all.
Okay, so then from nothing to something.
Let me put it this way. God cannot even create a blade of grass without time already existing, unless you can defeat one of the three premises.
Well, the first premise was the exact same as Genesis 1.
It can't be, because time needs to exist. To create anything, time needs to exist. Then break a premise, argue with the premise.
Well, that's clarified later in Christianity.
Well, I don't care what Christianity later says. You got to break a premise. Like, you're concussing yourself now. You're literally facing a wall and bashing your head against it, saying absolutely nothing.
I mean, I am explaining things. I'm pointing out that your argument is the exact same as the Bible.
How so?
Because what was... Give me a second, I'm going to look up. All creation entails a change of state.
Correct.
So, as a change of state, God created.
No. You got
that. Okay,
I'll say this for like a fourth time. I'll give you a fourth time. Premise 1: all creation entails a change of states of reality. Premise 2: a change of states of reality is that's the important part, is the progression from one state to another state, right? Premise 3: a progression of states is time.
Yeah, so you've defined time with three
Correct.
Axioms.
Well, no, they're not axioms. They're premises. They're arguments. They're arguments. Try to defeat the premise.
Arguments.
Defeat a premise. Yeah, defeat the premise, and you can defeat the conclusion. And the conclusion is that God can't create because creation requires time. And time
initially starts whenever there is a change of state.
Correct, but that requires time.
So you're saying that time requires time.
To create anything requires time.
So to have time, you have to have a creation.
No, I'm saying time has always existed. I'm saying time has never been created. Time has always existed. My model is perfectly fine. Time has always existed. And because space-time are intertwined, space-time has always existed, thus the universe has just always existed. God did not need to create it. But you're in a lock.
So alpha and omega, beginning and end.
I don't care what the fancy words say. Beginning and end, alpha and omega are pointless or useless to me. They're useless in this conversation.
It's the same thing. That's what I'm saying.
You're literally just repeating words that are meaningless in this argument. You've got to break one of the
I'm not breaking anything premises. Because that's just how it is.
It's not. You want it to be that way, but I gave you a set of premises that you're just repeating words now. You're starting to repeat gibberish
agree with the biblical narrative.
They don't. They actually go contrary to the biblical narrative.
How are they contrary to the biblical narrative?
Because what I'm saying is that unless time has always existed, God can't create shit. God is incapable of creating anything without time, because time is required to create.
Are you like making God like a personified being?
No, I'm saying that without time, God can't create. It's that simple. You agree to the premises. You agreed to this.
Yeah, so what is God to create if God is creation?
God doesn't create. He's not creation. He doesn't create. In your worldview, because you can't defeat the premises, he is just out there floating in the ether doing nothing.
Well, I'm not saying he, I'm saying it, like the existence.
Yeah, he's just out there floating doing nothing, can't create. He's incapable of creating. He can't even have a thought process.
No, the existence exists.
So are you saying that something has always existed before God? Or is God the existence?
God is the existence that presupposes the changes of state.
So are the changes of states contingent on God, or is God contingent on the changes of state?
They are one and the same.
They can't be. You can't be within your own creation.
Sure you can.
No, you can't.
No, that's illogical. Cyber, he's wasting time. I think
Yeah,
he's
Why
move
can't
on.
you be within your own creation? You're in, like, you can be in your own movie.
What the fuck?
Who's Jim Carrey?
Yeah, we're not
He
talking
makes his
about
own
like
movies
the
and he's in his
creation
own
of-
movies.
Hold on. We're not talking about like the creation of a movie. So break one
We're
of the
talking
premises
about the
then.
creation of existence.
Yeah, and if existence,
The creation of the existence is the creation.
yeah, the existence could not have been created unless time already existed. Under the premises that you agreed to, nothing could be created unless time already existed. So you've got to give me a breaker. You got to defeat one of the premises.
So God is the time that is existence, and the
So
existence that is
God
time,
is
as
time?
I started off with.
God is time. Did God create time?
Chronos said, keep his name out your mouth.
Do you remember what I started with? That God is all time and existence.
God is all time.
And existence.
And when you say time, what's your definition of time? Because I gave you a definition of time, and you agreed, because the reason why it flies in that is you agreed that creation entails a change of states of reality. A change of states of reality is a progression from one state to another.
No, that was time.
Correct. So how are you going to say God is time without having a progression of states?
Because it's defined as that in the Bible.
I don't care what the Bible
Like, if you're
defines
going
it as.
by the... Well, then you're not actually looking into what God is by the biblical definition.
Where
That's
does the
not
Bible?
the biblical
You've made the exact same argument, but with different wording.
I have not.
Because it's not even biblical what you're spewing.
So yeah,
the
the
Alpha
question
and Omega,
is,
the beginning and end, that is biblical. It is the same thing as all
what does
creation and changes of
hold on.
states.
What does beginning mean? Can you tell me what beginning mean?
When a change of state begins.
Oh, it's when a change of states begin, right?
Yes, because you're in agreement with the same thing that the Bible says.
Yeah, and you agreed that the
Right.
beginning... Well, hold on. You agreed that the beginning was the start of creation, right? That's what you said. The beginning started with creation.
Before God.
Right? Yeah, so what I'm saying, right? So listen to what I'm saying, and then after this I'll probably drop you because I don't think you're grasping it.
He's not.
So you're reading Revelations where he says, I am the Alpha Omega, so on and so forth. The issue that you're running into is, sure, people can say that God said those words. Man says that God said those words. But the issue that you're running into is that that's in Revelations, but God can't create. He can't without time. Meaning time had to exist.
You have found... Oh, wait.
Listen, I'll say this again. In order for God to create anything, time had to already exist. For God to even have a mental process to create anything, time had to already exist. Time had to exist before God in order to create anything.
So
If God
count
existed,
the first four words, if you count the first four words, what came before God?
What came before God? I don't know. You have to answer that. I don't believe God existed.
Well, there are four words in the beginning of the Bible, and I already know you know them.
Oh, what do you think those are?
In the beginning,
Oh, those aren't the first four words.
God.
Oh, just give me strength. Cyber, can we move on? Because now he's
It's
just
actually
fucking
in
around.
the beginning of. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and drop you. You didn't have a defeater for the argument. I do have other people waiting, but have a good evening.
All right.
He was being purposefully obtuse.
I have never spent so much time arguing with somebody over premises. Normally they get them and they understand. Okay, we don't have anybody on Video Ninja. We do have a guest over here on YouTube. And Blake, are we still good over there on YouTube? Hopefully we are. All right, we're going to bring up Johnny.
Yo, what's up?
Johnny, can we have your age for TikTok TOS, please?
Yeah, I'm 19.
Okay, and can you prove Jesus' divinity?
No, I just have a question on the argument from like the last time. I'm the last guy you're speaking with. So, I have a question because like a lot of Christians say that like if the universe always existed, then like wouldn't an infinite regression happen? So I would just say like, what is the feeder to a theist saying an infinite regression?
So the question would be is like, why is an infinite regression bad? I'm a B theorist. I don't know if you're familiar with like A theory versus B theory at time. So I'm a B theorist, which means that this really doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And all B theory means is the best way to explain it without going into like the physics side of it is that all time throughout all periods of time are equally real. My present might be in your and Hanji's past or future, right? But all events are equally real. We can look at this through quantum mechanics. We know that the faster things move at the speed of light, the less time they experience. So there's a lot of quantum mechanics in there. But even if, let's say somebody is believes in God, they still run into the exact same problem of infinite regression. They run into the same problem. They literally just kick the can down the road. They don't actually answer the question themselves. But the best way to answer it is that we live today. We're living today. We might be in the timeline of negative 500. It's irrelevant. It's really irrelevant. We are living today. And so the idea of like the infinite thing is just something that they try to use to say, oh, you'll never catch up to today. Well, clearly we did. We're alive. Clearly we caught up. And infinity is not a number. Whether it's infinity into the past, infinity into the future, it's not a number at all. And so it's just saying that the timeline goes on forever. So there's that. And some things that you can use to do it too, if you do want to do your own research what's called the quantum eternity theorem. It's from Sean Carroll, Dr. Sean Carroll. He's a physicist. Look up the quantum eternity theorem. Essentially, what the quantum eternity theorem says is as long as the energy is not at zero, so if it's at a non-zero, then it goes on forever. Energy just goes on forever. It uses the Schrodinger's equations. So I don't know if that rightly answered your question, but that's the best way to explain it.
All right, got you. I'm gonna go research that like right now.
Yep, quantum eternity theorem, Sean Carroll. and do research on the B theory of time.
Okay, got you. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Thanks for coming up. So anyways, sorry, I might have just yelled in that mic. So anyways, Christians, let's give this a change. I don't think I have anybody in either box. Are we filling up for a change,
A
Hanji?
restart?
No, not a restart. We've got maybe a TikTok restart.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
don't
was
know
talking about
though.
it.
We have 75 people in here.
Okay. I mean, you could do a background change, see if that gets people in, and we could try and push for 30K likes, and for you to change your live goal to a new one to see if we can get some new flow in here.
Oh yeah, I do. I get in those debates and I get like hunkered down
I
in
know.
them. I'm like,
You're so adorable when you're impatient.
It's just how many times do I have to explain a syllogism?
I don't know, but at this point, I'm gonna start charging.
But yeah,
Anyway,
so Christian.
I have to use the goddess's room, so I'll be right back.
So, Christians, why is the Christian God a sick fuck? Hop in the box. Let's talk about it. I want to hear your arguments. Want to hear your best arguments. Don't give me your crap arguments. Want to hear your best arguments. People over on YouTube, go ahead and hop in the box. Click the link above, tinyurl.com/sliber-guest. I am so glad I finally got these bugs worked out. Still trying to work out some other things as far as echoes and stuff, but it sounds like it's going good over on YouTube. Let's get some yeses in chat if the YouTube stream has been going well. And over here on TikTok, let's get some yeses over here on TikTok as well if the stream has been going good so far. All right. Glad to see that. Man, Branson over on YouTube getting timed out by Blake. Blake's bog is sucking them in over there. They get out of line. Yes, and we have quicksand. Yes, Blake does bring quicksand with his bogs. He doesn't play around with people acting fools over in chat. Breathe in and out what words come out. If you think it's Yahweh, it's not. That's just something you heard and you're like, that sounds really cool. Me breathing in and out and it being Yahweh, that's a banger. That sounds cool. I'm going to put that in a fortune cookie. If you actually likes your life, you would put living your life not on a live stream. I have a good life. I actually really enjoy my life. I have a good life. I have a full-time job, gets the bills paid, got some money. I'm actually getting ready to take a trip. I'm going to be taking a trip not next week, this Friday. This Friday I am going to be yes, that is so true, Alice. True. When we breathing out, it actually sounds like Billie Eilish. That is true. So true. But coming up here this Friday, I'm going to be making a trip to pick up this little dude. So I'm going to be picking up this little dude. I need to come up with a name for him, though. I don't have a name picked out yet. But I need a name for this little dude. So I gotta drive to Montana to pick him up.
I thought you were going to name him Shadow.
I should. Well, I asked my kids, and the first thing I saw it getting ready to come out, and I was like, not Sonic, and without hesitation, like Shadow, and I'm like, you're about to say Sonic, weren't you? Why don't you debate Muslims? I do debate Muslims. I'll debate a Muslim. Bring a Muslim up here. I'll debate a Muslim. You know what? You're right. I'm sorry. This one is too pointed. Let's give this a switch. There we go. I got a better one. We'll debate Muslims. I'm not against debating Muslims. Craig's a great name. This is my hedgehog, Craig. But yeah, theists, come on up. Let's debate. I'll debate the existence of why. Hold on. Do I have? I don't think I have that background up. Do I have? Let me go see if I have that background saved in one of my folders, because I have the God is imaginary. Oh, I do. We'll get this one up. We'll put God is imaginary. We'll get that one up. We'll go with image. Let me get this one uploaded here real fast. It's under Decon. Oh, it's not under Decon Pics. It is under TikTok. Boop. There we go. Theists, come at me. God is imaginary. Let's talk about it. Come on up. Hop in a box. Let's talk about God being imaginary. Hanji, did you know your God's imaginary?
Zeus said, keep talking that shit, and he's gonna smite your fucking Wi-Fi.
Oh,
Leave
Hanji
me
the
out of this, he said. Oh, that's so cute. I love it. Do it.
Oh, let's move this title up here. The link. We can move that. We'll put that there. There we go. So there we go. God is imaginary. God is in your head. Gods don't exist. Hop in the box. Let's talk about it. I don't think anybody's going to have any better argument for any gods not being imaginary. I'd love to hear your argument. Hop about it. Let's talk about it. Hanji, I don't think anybody's going to want to come up and talk about it, though.
The fuck?
In fact, one of the reasons why I know that Jesus definitely isn't divine, one of the big reasons why I know Jesus isn't divine is because I've got him in an ecto-containment unit. Turns out that Jesus can't get out of ecto-containment units. It's how I know that Jesus isn't divine. Get this brought over. So yeah, I was hanging out at the Ren Fair last year during Time Traveler's Day. If it wouldn't know, Jesus was there. Jesus is now in an ecto containment unit. He's stuck. He ain't going anywhere. He tried to call on his daddy, and his daddy doesn't exist. So there he is, caught in an ecto containment unit. So yeah, I don't have a guest up, so I probably will do a restart on TikTok real quick. So we'll knock out restart on TikTok real quick. So before we do that, I am going to go use the restroom real quick. So I will be right back. Plug in, log on, let's break it down. Truth ain't scared to be found. Dogma shakes when questions rise. No more fear, no more lies. Cyber deconstruction, let's get real. Faith. Plug in, log on, let's break it down. Truth ain't scared to be found. Dogma shakes when questions rise. No more fear, no more lies. Cyber deconstruction, let's get real. Faith when challenge starts to peel. If it's built on solid ground, why is it scared to stick around? Sacred. Gotta turn my microphone on, almost forgot. Turn my microphone off. We're back. Let's go ahead, tap that screen, share the live. Hopefully we'll get some theists coming up. Hopefully this topic here. This is actually one of my favorite ones. This is probably the easiest one that I really enjoy running. Christians normally don't know how to react to it. They think they have some good arguments. Turns out they don't. So see if we can get some Christians coming up. Also, if you are on YouTube, there is a link, tinyurl.com/cyber-guest. Let me fix my blurriness. And if you are over on YouTube, you can go check out the link. That will bring you on over here to TikTok, so TikTok can hear you as well. Would love to have you over. Well, bring Sam over onto YouTube or TikTok. I'll debate them. I'm not against debating them. Bring them over. I want to debate Cliff. Cliff is one that I really want to debate. Because every debate that I've seen Cliff on, he just gets super emotional. People need Jesus. Think we got Hanji back. Oh. Just another guy. You just got cooked. Do you want to go for round 2? We'll go for round 2. I'll bring you up for round 2.
I mean, you say I got cooked. I think we agreed on it, but...
Oh, we didn't agree. But hey, God's a sick fuck. Why is that? Why is God a sick fuck?
'Cause at the end of Samuel... Well, actually, I'll start off with a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is sucking your own dick gay?
Is sucking your own dick gay? No.
No. Okay, well, that is agreed upon biblically at the end of Samuel.
I don't know why you go with that weird, though. That's just a weird question to go on.
Yeah, well, we're going with sick monsters, so we're playing with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is Eddie 100%. Hold on. Eddie 100%. It's a party trick. 100%.
So Saul is this guy who died by his own sword, and David, like right afterward, is like, well, that's not really how I would do it. I make friends with my enemies or whatnot, but the whole thing is an allegory to making an Ouroboros. You know.
Well, let me ask you a more pointed question. Do you think it's ever acceptable to punish women for the sins of their husbands? Do you ever think that's acceptable?
No, but I assume you're going to show me where it's at so that we can both agree that it's unacceptable.
Yeah, so you think God commands horrible things?
Well, I don't think God commanded Saul to suck his own dick, but Saul did it anyway and found out it was a terrible idea.
Oh, that's not what I'm talking about. Do you know the story of David and Bathsheba?
Which David?
King David. The only David who is with Bathsheba.
I couldn't tell you that. I'm saying, like, is it the gay David or is it the one who's straight? Because there's two of them.
They're probably the same David. What's your issue with homosexuality, though? That seems to be your thing.
I don't have an issue with homosexuality. I'm just
you a homophobe? Like,
no.
What's going on?
I just like that there's a distinction between autofellatio and being gay.
I'm just saying because you came out of the closet with just weird ass shit. But my question for you is,
well, I mean, I'm replying to the weird ass shit up top. So,
well, yeah, because it's true. So the question is, do you know the story of David and Bathsheba?
No. How's it go?
Yeah, so the story of David and Bathsheba is that David is king of Israel. He replaced Saul. And they are at war with the Ammonites. And while they're at war with the Ammonites, he's sitting on top of his palace, and he sees Bathsheba bathing.
City at palace or throne?
His palace. He's on top of his palace.
Okay.
And he sees Bathsheba bathing off in the distance. And so he has his servants bring her to him, and he gets her pregnant. Now, the issue with this is, turns out he's married. Turns out she's married. And do you know what the punishment for adultery is according to the Torah?
Like stoned?
Yeah, you get unalived. Correct. 100%. You're right. Good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. You get stoned. So this is an issue for both David and Bathsheba. And so he orders Uriah, her husband, to come home. And he tries to convince Uriah to sleep with her because he wants Uriah convinced that he got her pregnant. Because lo and behold, if you're out to war for
Yeah, like you want to kind of cover up the whole, like
yeah,
thing.
that's exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to cover it up. Well, he refuses. Uriah refuses. He doesn't do it. And this puts David in a pickle. So David, in his infinite wisdom, says, well, you know, if Uriah's dead and then I marry her before the people know she's pregnant, then I'm good. So he sends Uriah to the front line for the sole purpose of having him killed. And Uriah gets killed.
Oh, and then he like beats his... Oh, no. Doesn't do that. He just dies.
Yeah, Uriah just died. However, can you hide things from the Lord?
Apparently not.
We don't. We can't hide things from God. And so Nathan, who is the prophet, he speaks for God. He comes, and we'll read this up here. So when he comes, he states, so above the red, all it's saying there is, look, the Lord gave you everything. He gave you Saul's kingdom. He gave you Saul's throne. He gave you Saul's wives. If they had been too little, he would have given you much more. By your action of doing this, you have despised the Lord. You've spit on the Lord's face, essentially. But what's important says, why have you despised the word of the Lord to do what is evil in his sight? You have struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword and have taken his wife to be your wife.
He's covering up being gay.
Well, no, he's not covering up being gay.
Yeah, that's what the story's about.
It's not, because this is also Solomon's mom, right? This is Solomon's mom we're talking about here. And have taken his wife to be your wife and have killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now, therefore, the sword shall never depart from your house, for you have despised me and have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus says the Lord, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house, and I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in broad daylight. For you did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all of Israel and in broad daylight. So why did God cause David's wives to be raped? For David's sin.
Because David really wasn't swinging that way.
Oh, so you are just a homophobe. What evidence do you have that David was gay?
No, that's not homophobic. If he's giving his wives away, that's not...
He's not giving his wives away. God's doing it.
He's giving his wives...
Well, I mean...
David isn't doing it. God is giving his wives away to be raped by their
God,
son.
100% is having them raped by their own son, Absalom.
Well, that's also like adultery, so like adultery and rape would have fallen into the same category, right?
They're not getting the punishment until after David did what he did. That was his punishment. Instead of God
because David was trying to cover something up.
No, he wasn't covering anything up, you dense Malakia. I know you're trying to rage bait. It's not going to work here. He literally
Are you kidding? The whole premise of this thing is rage baiting.
He took a woman who was already married to someone else and raped her. When he found out that she was pregnant, he unalived her husband so that way he could marry her to keep suspicions from happening. God saw what happened and said, because you did this shit, now all of your wives are not only going to be raped, they're going to be raped by your own son in front of all of Israel. Where in there is the gay? Tell me.
More importantly, why is God having the innocent wives raped?
Because the innocent wives are married already.
Yeah,
so then by definition, whenever they go to someone else, it's rape.
They're married to David.
Being raped. Yeah, they're married to David.
Well, yeah, they're married to David, but David doesn't really do that.
Did
Do
you
what?
not hear a fucking word? You know
Hold on. I have a question for you. Like, serious question, because you keep alluding to David being gay. What verse do you think implies that David's gay?
Whenever Saul self-sucks and David says that, well, you can do that with a lot of other people, and Saul's like, fuck that, and he dies by his own sword.
Yeah, where's that found at? Can you let me know where that's found?
Samuel 1, the end.
Samuel 1. Let's go read this.
Or sorry, 1 Samuel, the end of 1 Samuel.
The end of 1 Samuel?
Yeah.
Can you give me the actual verse?
Fuck, I don't know.
because it's not in there, you malakia.
It's not.
Cyber, are you familiar with a scholar called Bathemu?
Maybe?
I just left Thinker's Live about it. Basically, he's telling Christian apologists and other scholars to forget the whole homosexuality thing in the Bible, because technically it's not biblical. The passage actually in the Hebrew makes no sense, and there are words missing.
31.
Yeah, what verse?
It's like the whole description of the chapter.
Now the 31. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled before the Philistines, and many fell on Mount Gilboa, and the Philistines overtook Saul and his sons, and the Philistines killed Jonathan and Abinadab, and the sons of Saul, and the battle pressed hard on Saul, and the archers found him, and he was badly wounded. Where does this talk about anything about that?
The fuck does that have to do with David?
So yeah, can you give me the actual verse? As a matter of fact, we'll bring this up, and I'll let you point out where it's at.
What's 4 and 5?
Then Saul said to his armor bearer, "Draw your sword and thrust me through, so that these uncircumcised may not come and thrust me through and make sport of me, because they're going to unalive him. He doesn't want them to kill him."
He's basically asking for some.
He's saying
sempoku.
But his armor bearer was unwilling, for he was terrified. So Saul took his own sword and fell on it.
Ouroboros.
And what does this have to? Huh?
You do know he's talking about the literal sword in this passage, right, dummy?
No, they're not talking about swords.
They are talking about swords.
Death to death, war to war.
What are you quoting?
Jeremiah.
Then Saul said to his armor bearer, listen here, keyword, armor bearer. What does an armor bearer hold? Weapons and armory. I'm not even going to let you exactly, you dumb fuck. Which is why he says, draw your sword and thrust me through it, so that these uncircumcised, he's talking about the Jewish people here, the Gentiles, may not come and thrust me through and make sport of me. He would rather unalive to his own people than the uncircumcised Gentiles. You can whistle all you want, Pumpkin. We literally just cooked you on the own fucking verse that you brought up.
And what does this have to do with David? David's not mentioned anywhere in here.
Just tell me you're self-hating and be done with it.
David starts in the next chapter.
Not my fault you want to kiss boys. Let it out, Pumpkin. It's 2025.
David starts in the next chapter. And what does the other chapter have to do with this? Like
I mean,
2
it's just a
Samuel 1?
comparison.
David mourns for Saul and Jonathan?
Yep.
So what does this have to do with homosexuality?
Men can't cry now.
It's implied.
That's deemed homosexual.
It's not implied. You're just stupid.
It's definitely implied, you Calvinist.
Listen, Pumpkin, let me tell you something, Princess.
Calvinist? I'm an atheist, you coward.
Let me tell you something,
kicked him.
Princess. Oh, I know he's still listening. It's not our fault that you have certain itching in your closet and you're so self-hating that you're suppressing it and taking it out on a demographic that you are secretly a part of. So go ahead, watch that guy on guy, rub one out. It's okay. It's 2025. Own that shit, queen. Don't be mad at yourself. Maggie,
You
can we
guess,
have your
Hanji.
age for TikTok BOS, please?
I'm 53.
Whoa. All right. Maggie with the bass. I fuck with it. And do you believe in the God of the Abrahamic faith?
I believe he is evil.
Oh, well,
Oh.
shit, based.
Based.
Yeah. I've been a Christian my whole life, and I walked away from Christianity because I got tired of trying to defend the most evil serial killer in the history of the world that's murdered babies.
Well, real quick, we are on TikTok, so let's use TikTok friendly terms. So you're
I
good.
apologize.
Say stuff like unalive, schmurder,
Right.
stuff like that.
Right, my bad. Yeah, so I actually have a graduate degree from seminary and was a minister, and I had to stay completely away from the Old Testament because of the evilness of Yahweh. And then I found the Canaanites and the Druids and the Phoenicians and found that they had a pantheon of gods where El Elyon was the father of Yahweh, and that they saw Yahweh as evil, which he really is. So to me, the great deception is worshiping evil, which is Yahweh. But I can't tell people that because they get so angry about it.
Something you might be interested in is, so we don't have any surviving copies of his book because they were all burnt. So we have reconstructions of it. The church fathers hated Marcion so much that they couldn't stop talking about what he wrote about. Go read Evangeline. David Badoon has an awesome recreation of it, and he lists like where he got his sources from, how many times like this was stated, but essentially what the Marcionite school of thought was and why he was deemed a heretic is that Yahweh is like this evil god. He's an evil god, and that there was this other god named like God the Father who sent Jesus down as a full adult to ransom us away from Yahweh. That might be something you might be interested in reading. It's Evangeline. It was originally written by Marcion. Marcion was deemed a heretic by the early church. He was never excommunicated, but he was just deemed a heretic. But David Badoon. I'm going to go ahead and drop you down. I do appreciate you coming up, though.
Hey, let me just say this real quick. So now I have to tell people that I'm not a Christian, but I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ, because he was good. So thank you so much for helping me, and I look forward to reading this.
Yep, David Badoon. Give it a read. All right, I'm going to get this guest over here from... I had a guest on Video Ninja. He's not here anymore. Gosh dang it. I think he just left. Oh, the baller, hop back in. I went over there. I was talking to somebody on YouTube. Call in.
And before anyone gets their pantyhose in a twist, I am a pansexual androgynous Greek woman. So just so no one feels some type of way of what I said, I like the kiddies and I like the eggplants. Or whatever you do or don't have between your legs. This personality, darling. Own it. Call me the modern day Alcibiades, but Spartan instead of Athenian.
Yep. The baller over on... Oh, hold on. I think... Oh, sorry, that was in response to something else I was reading. The baller, go ahead and hop in. We got John over here. We're going to bring John on over. John, can you hear me? Let me make sure we got this refreshed so he make sure he can hear me. Add to scene. Oop. Trying to... Oh, John, where'd you go? I was trying to get to you. You disappeared again. I will stay on TikTok as long as we can. But I think they're going to run out of extensions before they eventually have to make a choice. John, I keep selecting you. I didn't hear you. So if you want to hop back over, we'll give it a try again. Some people hop in boxes and are just impatient. Yeah, my plan is to stream to both. Welcome back.
Hey, what's up again? So,
Hey,
on the other thing, since I learned pansexual and all that, you want to go to Judges 11?
Or what?
What about
Not my
Judges
book?
11?
It's where Zephaniah's daughter comes out as lesbian.
Is this just another that's not what happens.
That's what happens.
That's not what happens. You clearly haven't read
That
it.
is what happens.
No, we'll
I'm not a
read it.
homophobe. I am trying to find them for the Bible's sake.
It's not our fault his mother didn't love him as much as a kid. Anyway, read the verse.
Yeah, we'll read, but I'm going to go ahead and drop him. But that's not what happens. So what happens is, again, Jephthah is at war with the Ammonites, and he's worried. The Ammonites are a bigger military. They're more technologically advanced, so he's worried about them, right? So they're at war. And then what we have as we go down... So, and he's just sending war. This is just talking about stuff. But then it mentions how the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah.
Oh, that's why he called me Zephthah's daughter.
Yep. And then Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, if you will give the Ammonites into my hand, then whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return victorious from the Ammonites shall be the Lord's, to be offered up by me as a burnt offering. And the Lord gave them over. Now, one thing you need to know about Israelite culture is in their houses, their animals were in their house, right? And so they had, when you first go into the house, the first section of the house was for the animals, and then the human living quarters was past that. So Jephthah,
I know, Cyber, he's basically saying that I should be a offering to his God. Funny, Daddy's little soldier unlike you, I don't have daddy issues. My father is actually in my life. Second of all, I come from a military household. So yeah, we are real soldiers, not little fucks that spew in comment sections on TikTok because they got their feelings hurt by a woman. Not only that, I come from a war state, and you wouldn't even last 24 hours in my country.
Mm-hmm.
That mouth of yours would end you up in the Aegean. You want to go ahead and fucking threaten me.
And so we have where the Lord does turn Jephthah. They get the win. Jephthah's expecting animals to come out of the house, and he's fully prepared to sacrifice one of those animals. However, it mentions, then Jephthah came to his home at Mizpah, and there was his daughter coming out to meet him with timbrels and dancing. She was his only child. She had no son or daughter, or he had no son or daughter except her. When he saw her, he tore his clothes and said, "Alas, my daughter, you have brought me very low. You have become the cause of great trouble for me. For I have opened my mouth to the Lord, I cannot take my vow." She said to him, "My father, if you have opened your mouth to the Lord, do to me according to what has gone out of your mouth, for the Lord has given you your vengeance against your enemies, the Ammonites." And she said to her father, "Let this thing be done for me. Grant me 2 months, so that I may go and wander on the mountains and bewail my virginity, my companions and I." "Go," he said, and he sent her away for 2 months. So she departed, she and her companions. Now notice companions here. There's no gender in there. There's no gender mentioned in here at all. It's just her companions, and bewailed her virginity on the mountain, right? So she's mourning her virginity, right? Because again, during this time, one of the reasons why Yahweh's a sick fuck, virginity was like the pinnacle of society for women. Like, you needed to maintain your virginity. At the end of the 2 months, she returned to her father, who did with her according to the vow he had made. She had never slept with a man, so there arose an Israelite custom that for 4 days every year the daughters of Israel would go out to lament the daughter of Jephthah. So nowhere in here does it actually talk about sex, you sick fuck. I'm beginning to think he's just an anti-Semite at this point. And see, still waiting for John to come back.
John, who's that?
He's somebody on YouTube. He keeps popping in to oh, there we go. All right, John, I'm coming over. Just hold on a minute. Okay, we'll hit this. We'll bring you over to the scene. We'll solo talk. Can you hear me, John?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Hanji, can you hear John?
I can hear him. I can also hear Agelios blowing in the winds, the goddess of wind.
All right, John, can I get your age?
I'm over 18, but I'm not interested in having a debate because I've been watching on YouTube, and it's not really a professional debate. It's a 2-on-1, and you guys are just being very vulgar and like cussing at people and just attacking people. So I just want to call in and say that it's not a real debate.
Yeah, we're not attacking, and she can hear you, but she can't respond on Video Ninja. She can't respond to you here. Well, you can't hear her. She can respond, you just won't be able to hear. But no, we're not attacking. We had somebody come up and make some wildly inaccurate claims, and he made a jab at Hanji. He made a comment towards her. So she was just responding to the comment that he made towards her.
Okay, well, so you think that you pretty much portray yourself as the all-knowing guy, the all-knowing truth sayer of everything. Is that right?
I never said that. I've never said that. I just read the words.
This whole stream, I've noticed, is like you just want to put yourself out there as the authority, and that you have the answers to the origins of the universe. You know what happens when we die. Like, you act
Oh,
like
when
you're
have I
so
talked about what
intelligent.
happens when have I said
I'm just
what happens when we die? When have I said that?
this is my point. You don't fucking know. You
I
act
haven't
like you're
said that.
so
Hasn't came
intelligent,
up.
but you're a janitor and you have no
What makes you
authority.
think I'm a janitor? So let's read the
I
words.
was just
Give me. So tell me what are your views? What are your views on innocent virgins being stoned to unalivement because of a law?
My
that
view
God gives?
is that you have no authority in your actual life, so you come on here on YouTube and try to make yourself into an authority, powerful guy when you're actually a loser who doesn't really do much in your real life.
Oh, look at that projection.
Projection.
Such projection. Cause yeah, he knows what I do
I mean,
in my
like,
life.
if you were like a CEO of like a big company, like
Get
going
your
on
mother
$1 million
on the phone. I need
vacations
to
and stuff,
tell her how to
you
be a
wouldn't
better
be doing
parent,
this.
child.
You have no power in your actual life, so you want to come here on YouTube and act like you're better than other people, and you're so
So what you're
smart and you
saying
know
is,
everything.
so what you're, I never said I was smart.
Baby
It
bad.
just turns out that I have a master's degree in theology, and we read the book, and we discuss what the book says.
Well, good luck with your search of power and your search of control. I know it's very obvious that you really
Man,
just
this
like
Christian
power and
crash
control.
out right now. This guy came up just to crash
I'm not.
out. Sole purpose was
Yeah.
to crash out. You are crashing the fuck out right now. So
Because
the question
you don't have the
is-
power and control. You don't have the authority right now, so you're
I
freaking.
do, cause see, like
yes,
right
he
now,
does.
like right now, ain't no. See, I muted him. He left. See, I had the power to cause him to leave. Gave him the mute. He left. I have the power.
Bitch.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that, but
I'll say it.
oh,
That was fun.
over there in YouTube, I absolutely smacked the man. That is right, JL. Christians always come up to cry. He had nothing. He knew he had nothing. He probably doesn't even know the scripture. Probably doesn't even know his own scripture.
Just capping for Christ.
He is capping for Christ.
My user, may my deities bless you. Although, don't drink too much with Dionysus, because sometimes a party of 3, if you get my drift, can turn into a party of 10 plus a goat. So just keep that, in the mind.
Crystal, look, Crystal just got here, so quick, we have to stop talking about her. Start talking about. We have to start talking about Dugald now, because Crystal just got here.
That's Crystal's Dionysus. I mean, whatever works.
Chris-
No, she wouldn't be. I don't think she's not open to that many partners.
Right. By the way, Crystal, if you're in here, leave a comment. If you're in here, leave a comment. Give Crystal a follow. Follow Crystal on YouTube. It is I am Crystal Jae. Give Crystal a follow. Crystal hosts amazing lives as well. Crystal also hosts lives talking about the different creators of the Deconstruction Junction, the whole lot of us, and she does one-on-one interviews with us. So anyways, go ahead, Hanji.
Hatorada. Can we have your age for TikTok TOS, please?
I'm 43.
43. Beautiful. And are you a believer in the Abrahamic deity?
There's quite a few, but I would say I'm Christian.
The fair answer. Okay. So can you tell us, why is God a sick monster?
Why wouldn't he be?
Oh, so you
Spicy,
agree?
I like it.
You agree God's a sick fuck?
Well, I mean, that's your interpretation, but why would you expect him to be an angel?
Oh, I just expect somebody that is
Why do you expect
all-knowing
that?
and perfectly good. just wouldn't do evil, wouldn't do atrocious
Why
things.
do
He'd create, huh?
Why do you expect that?
Oh, because I'd expect that he would put us in the best possible world, and
Do you
clearly
think
this isn't the best
nature
possible
is-
world,
So do you think that nature's all good?
huh?
Do you think that nature, animals,
No, I think that's the biggest issue. I think
hurricanes,
that the hold
it's not all
on,
good, right?
listen. I think that the problem of evil, the natural problem of evil, is probably the biggest reasoning why God just doesn't exist, and why God's
So-
a sick fuck.
So fine, if he's sick, why is he sick? Because evil exists?
Yes.
Okay. Can evil exist without good?
Yeah. I suppose you'd hold the view that evil can exist without good.
No, I don't. Hold
You
that
don't?
view. No, because
Is-
you
is-
can't have evil without good.
So let me ask you a question. Do you believe that God is all good?
No,
You believe God's evil?
I don't think that you can have evil without good. It's a
So
silly
that's not the
premise.
question I asked. That's not what I asked. Is God evil?
I said, I don't think you asked first if he's all good. I said no.
And
Right,
now
and
we're
then I
asking, is he all
asked-
evil?
Yeah, then I asked, is he evil?
Of course.
So
And he's
God
good.
is evil?
He has to be both.
Oh, yeah, so that just make God a sick fuck then.
Well, you keep saying this word as if I give a shit. But let me ask you a question. Is a lion eating a baby caribou, is that evil or is it nature?
Oh, I would say, well, if you hold God to be evil, do you believe that God is all
Just
knowing
answer
and
the
all
question.
powerful?
Is it good
Well,
or is
hold
it
on. I need hold on.
nature?
Hold on. This
Don't
is an
change the
internal.
question.
Hold on. This is an
Don't
internal
change the
critique on
question.
you. So hold on. I will.
Don't
I'll
change
answer
the
it.
question.
Hold on. I just need to know where you're at. Right? Do you believe that God is all powerful?
Don't change the question into something
I'm
else
not.
I asked.
Well,
Last
first
I
of
checked,
all,
this is his life.
yeah. First of all, we're not going to pivot from the topic. Right? This is the topic. I'm not going to let you burden shift and pivot away. Right? I'm not letting you burden shift.
Yeah.
Also,
Well, what you're doing is
lions and nature aren't trying to be gods. They're not being used in political arrangements
If
and
you don't want to have
livelihoods
an
of
intellectual
everyone.
conversation, I
Hey,
completely understand.
Pumpkin, last I checked, I was speaking. So, with that being said, nature is doing what nature does. They're not claiming to an authoritative nature. They're not using themselves as deities. They're not pushing their way of life into political views and livelihoods of others. So, your argument with nature is null and void.
yeah. So the question is, because again, I'm not letting you burden shift.
No, I asked
So-
you a question. If you can't answer it, then you're a fucking idiot. Okay. Goodbye.
No, I'm just not letting you burden
Aw,
shift.
Pumpkin.
Oh, you can drop. He didn't want to. He wasn't gonna let. He didn't want. All he wanted to do was burden shift. He just wanted to burden shift, and when I wasn't letting him burden shift, he left. Aw, it's adorable.
I felt good for
All
him.
right.
Oh, wait. No, she told me she left and she took the kids. Never mind. I can see why. Power to you, sister.
All right, going to get the next guest over here on Video Ninja. Hello, guest. How do you pronounce your name?
Hey, what's up, man? My name is Eric, and the way you pronounce it is Kyer. That's my username. But I have a question about God in general, or a point to make.
Okay, real quick. How old are you?
I'm 24.
Right, and are you a Christian?
I don't know if I'm a Christian. I do believe in God. But I do kind of agree with your point as to why is God a sick monster. Now,
Okay.
God is all-knowing, right? That's a point made through Christians, that he's all-knowing, he's almighty, he's all-powerful. In that case, if he knew, I mean, he created Adam and Eve, he created humans, and he put them on earth, right?
Yep.
And if he's all-knowing, all-powerful, and he knew that humans were gonna, I guess, quote-unquote, sin against them, wouldn't that be selfish of God to create humans?
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's just a little bit confusing to me, especially how you know, a lot of Christian people say, oh, well, you know, he's all knowing, you know, he's this and that. But, you know, like I said, I do believe in God. I don't think personally that everything happened, I guess, through evolution or through an accident. But I guess my point here is God, I guess, just, if that makes sense. Like, is he righteous God? Because that to me seems a little bit selfish. If he knew that humanity was going to sin, and if he knew that humanity was going to create like or do all these bad things, right? Why would he create humanity in order to just please himself? I just feel like it
gets worse than that. So if we go to Deuteronomy chapter 22, have you heard of the virginity test?
I honestly haven't, man. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I don't really read the Bible that much. I just personally, you know, just through, I guess, self-observance and through, I guess, self-rationalization, I do believe that there is a God. But what is your point?
Yeah, so the virginity test, I'll get it brought up on screen. I don't know if you might be able to see it over on YouTube if you take a look over there, but I'll bring it up on screen. It's Deuteronomy 22. And where we're going to go is down here to verse 13. And let me get this popped up on screen real fast.
I'm sorry, is this the Bible that you're pulling up, or what is this exactly?
Yeah, it's in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament. So what we have here is the virginity test. And essentially this first part here is talking about, it's giving a scenario. So Deuteronomy is the last set of laws that God gave to Moses before they entered into the promised land. It's at the end of the 40 years. He gives them the set of laws. They enter the promised land. And he says, suppose a man marries a woman, but after going into her, dislikes her and makes up charges against her, slandering her by saying, I married this woman, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity. Now, during Israelite culture, what they would do is they'd set up a tent, and there'd be a cloth laid in there, and they would have sex on the cloth. And then after they got done, the family of the bride would go in and grab the cloth. And if the man did what he's doing now, he's falsely accusing her of not being a virgin because there's no blood on the cloth. So then the elders and the father would go, and the father would show them the cloth, and he'll say, the man saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity, but here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. Then they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the town. The elders of the town shall take the man and punish him. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver. So if the man lied by saying she's not a virgin, but there was blood on the cloth, he had to pay 100 shekels. But let's say the charge is true in verse 20. If, however, this charge is true, that evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found, then they shall bring the young woman out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death. And so, yeah, I agree with you. So what this is saying is that, quite literally, God does not know or understand the female biology that he created. He doesn't understand that not all women bleed. In fact, there was a study done in 2023 in which resulted in only, or which showed only 43% of women bleed the first time they have sex. Only 43%. Meaning that the majority of the women under this law were taken rocks to the face. And so, yeah, I agree. Yeah. God in the Old Testament is an absolute sick fucking monster. He doesn't know the biology of women. He created humans knowing that they were going to fall. And if you go into the New Testament, if you read into the Calvinist verses, God quite literally created some humans to be vassals of wrath, meaning that he created us for the sole purpose of going to hell, so that those who he created for glory to be saved can look at us and be like, man, thank God and his glory and his mercy because we're not them. So yeah, I agree. And you said your name is Kyer?
Well, that's just my screen name. that's just under the group chat. My real name is Eric.
All right.
But yeah,
Well,
that's my point. I just think that, like I said, I do believe in God. I do believe He exists. I just, I question whether He's righteous or not. That's just, where I'm at. Let me ask you this: do you believe in God? Do you believe that there is a creator?
No, I'm an atheist. I'm an agnostic atheist. I believe that is it logically possible for there to be a God out there? I think the strongest argument for there being a God would be a deistic God. Deism is the belief that a God came, created the universe, and then walked away. He just created the universe, walked away, and has nothing to do with the universe after that. Whatever happens, happens. He doesn't care. He doesn't give two shits.
Right. Okay. That's an interesting perspective. I never really heard of that one.
Yeah, but hey, go into YouTube though. Go to YouTube. In my description on my profile, there is a link to a Discord group called the Deconstruction Junction, and this is for everybody on TikTok and everybody on YouTube. Go join the server, the Deconstruction Junction. There's a lot of other amazing creators on there. One of my good friends and a good friend of this channel is Deconstruction Zone with Justin. We have Crystal J. We have Thinker. We have Knight, who's on TikTok right now. There's Knight in there. We have Hanji, my lovely co-host, is in there. A lot of amazing creators in there. And every time we go live, you get a notification. But yeah, go join the Discord, Kyre.
Okay, cool, man. I just have one more question.
Yep.
It has to do with the, I guess, man, I can't really think. It's kind of late for me. What are the laws from the Bible called again? The Ten Commandments. I'm sorry, 10 Commandments.
And there's actually 613. Okay. Christians only hold to the 10 Commandments because those are the ones that they say we're comfortable with these, and they just try to disregard the other ones. But they're all mitzvahs. They're all commandments.
Okay, I see that. Well, I guess my question was, well, now that you mentioned that, it kind of changes a little bit. I'd have to do some research on that. My question was, do you think following the 10 Commandments is good for humanity?
No. We'll actually go read the 10th commandment. Did you know slavery is in the 10th commandment?
I did not.
Yeah, so the 10 commandments are found in Exodus, and when you go down to verse 17, it says, "Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife, male or female slave." Sorry. Ox, donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. So slavery is in the 10th commandment. And a lot of Christians don't know that because most of their translations, or usually whenever they read it, they don't ever actually, if you were to go to most Christians and say, hey, where in the Bible are the 10 commandments found? They're going to look at you funny because they don't know. They don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And so they're only going to know this as thou shalt not covet. That's how they're going to read it. But once you point out to them that it actually, and you read it to them, then they're going to try to give you some crazy gymnastics. They're going to try to be like, slavery doesn't mean slavery. They jump through some weird mental loopholes.
Yeah. And what version of the Bible is this?
This is the NRSVUE. VUE. Yep.
VUE.
Yep. And essentially, if you ever go to school, whether it's just to study Bible or you're going to school for seminary, anything like that, they should give you an Oxford annotated and NRSVUE. It's just a scholarly edition.
Okay, I see that. And before I go, I wanted to ask you, what is your opinion on I guess, like spirits. You know what I mean? Like ghosts. Do you believe in ghosts?
I don't see any evidence of them. I've done, when I was working on my master's degree, well, not my master's specifically, but when I was going through my schooling, I did a whole topic on, or I did a paper on near-death experiences and people coming back, and turns out that it just doesn't happen. I don't believe there's ghosts. Anytime people sees a ghost or anything, or a spirit, we're very easily able to explain it through natural phenomena. We can explain it through what we see. It used to be a time when people thought sleep paralysis equaled like being possessed, and there are horrible things that were done to people because of that. And I just don't see a reason for there being a spirit world.
Okay, I see that. And I guess another question that I have is, are you solely against Christianity, or are you against, like, let's say, like Buddhists or Muslims? What are you, I guess, quote unquote, not fond of or against?
So when
or
it
all
comes,
of it, or you pretty much all of it.
So I'm not an anti-theist. I'm mainly against, like I said, I'm agnostic to the existence of a God. I definitely know that it's not this God, the Abrahamic God. I know it's definitely not the Abrahamic God. This God is an absolute monster. But when it comes to like Buddhism, we don't ever see Buddhism as a whole harming people. What we see are individuals in Buddhism who do horrible acts, but Buddhism as a religion has never harmed anybody. When it comes to other religions, we don't see them as a whole harming people today. But when it comes to the Abrahamic
like
faiths,
the Muslim religion, you don't see that.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, Islam, it depends.
Because the Quran does have some pretty bad things. You know.
It does, and as a matter of fact,
Yep,
and as a matter of fact, I'm not gonna say any names, and I want to make sure, just in case he is watching over on TikTok, so he has a heads up.
Just say we have a friend. Just say we have a friend.
Yeah, we have a friend. We have a friend.
Okay.
Who is on a kill list.
Oh.
Because he is because he is an ex-Muslim, and the country that he lives in, if something happened to him, there'd be no investigation.
I gotcha. Okay, yeah. You know, I just think that you know, like, or I don't know if I should say that. I don't really agree with the Muslim, I guess, religion whatsoever, the culture at all, especially with you know, well, you know, with what the Quran says and all that. So, but I just wish that more people would talk about it. I know a lot of people are afraid to talk about it. I know more people rather go for the Christian, I guess, religion rather than the Muslim.
Yeah, if Muslims come up, I'll talk about them. I know enough about it where I can talk to them and stuff. The issue is, the issue with Islam is that people get caught up because in Islam, like, and it's a thing that really gets me, is because you'll get a lot of Muslims that you'll come up and you'll bring up problematic things, like you'll mention, especially if they do adhere to the hadiths, if they read the hadiths and you point out to them where Aisha talks about Muhammad hitting her, right? Aisha says, you know, Muhammad hit me. When you hear about Muhammad marrying her when she was 6 and consummating the marriage when she was 9, when you read in other places where she's describing how her and her friends would like play with dolls because they're literal kids, and he would sit and sometimes he would join in. And the issue is, when you discuss these with Muslims, they'll sit there and they'll be like, "Oh, you're getting it wrong. You just need to read it in the Arabic." But then when you ask them, "Well, do you speak Arabic?" They'll say, "Well, no." And you're like, "Fool, you're reading the exact same translation I am. Like, get out of here."
Right.
So yeah, I do though. I talk to...
just, you know, I just hear a lot about Christianity, I get kind of tired of it. I would want to hear more about, going. I feel like there is a bias sometimes that if you're a Christian, or that you'll be specifically targeted. But if you're like a Muslim, no one will quote unquote target you. No one will want to debate you. Another thing is that with Muslims is that they are quote unquote, I guess, radicalists. That if you do say something about the religion that offends them, they will try to hurt you physically. But I think that Muslims should definitely be addressed. I feel like the Christians have been already, I guess, ransacked through many
Cyber,
times.
did he not hear you say that you do address them?
That it is, time to address more. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, like I said,
you should be able to have the freedom of speech without getting, I guess, hurt. You know what I mean? Because you guys think that, oh, this guy said something about the Quran. We're gonna go shoot him. We're gonna, and I think I'm highly against that. So.
Yeah, like I said, if you get a chance, I talk to Muslims. Justin from Deconstruction Zone, he talks to Muslims. Mezzo, Joel reads Bible. I know they all talk to Bibles. Joyful talks to Muslims as well. Joyful Apostate. So go in there, and a lot of times this friend of ours, when we do get in these conversations, we'll usually tag him, because he's more than happy to hop up in the box. And whenever they try to start pulling things, he'll be like, no, that's hold on, no, that's not what it says. I can't.
You will never have his voice. You will never have his voice.
Hanji's over there like, you'll never have his voice. But yeah, so we do. It's just that a lot of Muslims just don't come up. I think it's because they're aware of the verses that we will bring up. And they're really interested in talking. The only things they're really interested in talking about is like the quote unquote, look how Muhammad knew the earth was round. And it's like, no, if you go look at Muslim scholarship, they didn't believe the earth was round initially. That's not what they were teaching. They were teaching a flat earth. When you point out, so yeah, we do talk to them. It's just a matter of them coming up into the live and wanting to talk with us.
I gotcha.
Yep. Well, but I do enjoy you coming up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you.
Yep. But yeah, again, in the Discord, and for everybody there, go ahead and check out the Discord. Again, in the Discord, there is a link to the Deconstruction Junction. Go give that a follow. Go join it. It's an amazing community. For those who are deconstructing is a lifelong process. It's something that you're never done with. Lifelong process. And one of the hardest things is losing community. And so if you join the community, you will find a new community that hopefully makes the deconstruction a whole lot easier on you. You got people that you can talk to. You have people who have been in your shoes, who've been where you're at, who at almost any time of the day, one of us has a live going on. You can come up, talk to us. We also have theists in there. We have theists like Hanji, Nick. They are theists. We have, I believe, Dugald. Dugald is...
Dagda.
Yeah, Dagda, not Dugald, Dagda. And we have all sorts of other theists that are in there. We also have some Jewish rabbis that are in there. We have Rabbi Hannah and Rabbi Bert. We've got rabbis that are in there. We've got Christians that are in there. We've got theists that are in there, right? We've got Christians that are deconstructing, but they're still in. So it's an amazing community. So if you haven't joined it already, give it a join. If you're on YouTube right now and you do like debates, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It would mean so much to me if you did. Let me go check. I haven't checked them all night because I have just been super excited that my so no Cash Apps, no Venmos. Just checking those. I haven't plugged those all night, but I'm just so thankful
I was
that I
in
finally.
chat earlier. I got your back.
Yep. And I am so thankful that we finally got the YouTube bugs worked out. I literally took today off. And for those who don't know, I work for Amazon. And we had a few less routes today. And so they'll let people volunteer to go home. I'm a veteran. I was medically retired from the Marine Corps. And so I receive a paycheck from that. So when I go home early, it's no wool off my back if I go home early. And so I came home and I've spent literally all day trying to get YouTube working good because we do this for you guys. We're here for those who are deconstructing. We're here for the entertainment, to help deconstruct, to answer questions, to host debates, to show Christians who are starting to doubt that it's okay to doubt. It's okay to push back. It's okay to take this book, this Bible, and to open it up and to just rip pages out of it. You don't need the book. Just dump the book. You literally do not need it. Get rid of it. It's okay to leave. We have a community. We have your back. And with that said, also I do have my own personal Discord. If you subscribe, and if you're currently subscribed, shoot myself a message and I'll make sure you get into the Discord. And once I am able to start accepting memberships over on YouTube, once you subscribe, shoot me a message. Not subscribe, once you become a member, you will be able to also join my personal Discord. That's just my personal one. We talk about all sorts of other things going on there. But my main Discord, the one that I will promote the most, is the Deconstruction Junction. Anyways, everybody, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for all 130 of you. I think I saw up to 300 people today. 300 people on YouTube today watching. Doing one last check, making sure I don't have anybody on Video Ninja. All right, looks like we are good. So everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. It means so much to me. YouTube, thank you for bearing with me over these last few days as we've been struggling to get a clear stream. But thank you for coming back. I will see you all tomorrow. Hanji, you're going to be back tomorrow?
Yes.
All right, so we will see you all tomorrow at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And everybody, have a fantastic evening.
Plug in, log on, let's